pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States. All right. Nice to see a big crowd out here tonight. Looking for a motion to approve our agenda.
Agenda.
Thanks, Sandra. I need a second.
I'll second.
Thank you, Jeff. Any discussion on this? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. All right, public comment. I got a couple signed up here. Let's start with them. Ren Benzing, is that right? Did I say that right?
Yes.
Come on up.
Ron.
Rob.
Ron.
Ron.
Yes.
Ron. I got.
First comment I have is I didn't realize what I was signing.
That's okay. That's all right. You can just talk about the weather. What are you going to talk about? You got
Okay.
3 minutes.
3 minutes,
3
okay.
minutes.
Well, I'm a preacher, so I better hurry up and get to the main topic. Just wanted to say I'm glad to be here tonight. And my wife and I have been living here several years. She grew up here in Mills River. And we're blessed to live in such a beautiful place and appreciate all the work that's being put forth to make this even more beautiful. So I appreciate that and just wanted to say thank you to all the good work you guys do. And I may have some comments later about the business, but just wanted to thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Next I have Todd Wagner.
Todd Wagner, 8738 Boylston Highway, Mills River. I'd like to start tonight with Mr. Kimball's comment at the last meeting pertaining to nuisance ordinances. How businesses have a source of income, so just clean up their mess and move on. Not all of our businesses can run on a couple cardboard boxes, radio chips, and wires in them. If it's just that easy, Mr. Kimball says, what is the holdup with the town park? Oh, that's right. They're waiting on $500,000 to clean this place up from FEMA. The whole town should be ashamed of themselves, being people lost everything they had and couldn't even get $50. The information packets explained about the town of Mills River staff. What a joke. I requested a copy of our property's complaints under the Right to Information Act. Come to find out, nobody ever filled one out of the complaint forms. Town manager met with the people, told Mr. Melichek to file the complaint. The complaint was also filed with Henderson County, and they told them to fill out the form to make it a legal complaint. I had a 2-hour meeting with the town manager when going through our violations. I requested that nothing be spoke of regarding our violations except to my father-in-law, Mr. Skemmerhorn, the owner of the property, my wife, Heidi Wagner, power of attorney for Scott Skemmerhorn, and myself, manager of the property. I was told, town manager, that employees employed by Town of Mills River have strong morals and ethics. He would let Mr. Webb and Mr. Melichek know as well. On the first 30-day extension, Mr. Webb had Mr. Skemmerhorn Jr., which has nothing to do with our property, sign it. The address on the paperwork was not even correct. I believe the town manager and inspectors are here for nothing more than to build their resumes at any cost to the residents or business owners in the town of Mills River. It is amazing to me that everyone on town council and the board have to live here, but the inspectors don't. They come up with all this BS and don't even have to live by it. After reading the light pollution ordinances, it appears the town employees also failed to follow their own ordinances on the new flooring building. It seems to me town council might need to focus more on some new town employees than the UDO. I have also provided copies of the ordinance, what it used to look like for businesses until someone made it disappear. With this being said, government is not always the solution, but usually the problem, especially when outsiders come in from big cities and try to take over our small towns. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we got anybody else want to come up for public comment? Now's the time. Give you 3 minutes. Going once, going twice. All right, we'll move right along. All right, the council comments. Who wants to start it off?
I would,
Okay.
first, I would like to offer condolences to the Sammy Britton family. That was a sad loss to learn for the community. And the stump dump is still burning and I'm still hearing earloads about it. So it would be nice if something could be done to get it out. I know we're supposed to get a lot of rain coming up, but a lot of neighbors are still suffering from it. And also, this afternoon, I became aware there's a truck going door to door selling meat. Are they supposed to get a permit?
We could look into that for you.
Somebody help us out. Mr. Melchick, can you help us out? When we had the one going door to door, up Pennsylvania Road, we figured we worked something out on that, but I don't know if we ever come to a head with it. I was thinking about that when I got the call myself,
So
the door to door salespeople.
Mr. Malachek, are you in a position to be able to answer that?
And I don't have a problem with them going door to door, but the problem was they wouldn't ever leave. They was giving these people a fit to leave, trying to pressure a sale.
So you're right, Mr. Mayor. During the town manager transition, we put into place a solicitor's ordinance.
Right.
And so anyone soliciting within town limits should be coming to the town itself to get a permit, and there's a fee associated with that. We need information about them, the vehicle
Right.
they're using, et cetera. So that is a requirement in place.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Yep.
So if residents still continue to see this individual,
Mhm.
they should
Reach out to town hall.
reach out to town hall.
Yeah.
Would the sheriff's department need to be notified so they could ask them for a copy of their ordinance and or for their application and start whatever needs to be necessary?
Well, I would ask that if a community member sees that, again, reach out to us. We're happy to take that information, and then yes, we'll reach out to the proper authorities to make sure that it's addressed as quickly as possible.
Okay, thank you.
My suggestion with that would be if you ask this individual or any individual to leave your property and they don't do so in a timely manner, you should just pick up the phone and call 911 and we'll have some help out there to get them off your property pretty quick.
And also going through the other situation we did, if you have your property posted, no trespassing, you can call the sheriff's department right out the gate and it don't matter what they're selling. They don't have the right to be there.
Anything else?
That's good.
Thank you, Jeff.
Not much, just want to mention that the Department of Veterans Affairs for all of our veterans is offering a program called the Million Veteran Program. And what that is a research program to look at us as veterans and see how our service may have affected us, and they will use that as data to help treat veterans and et cetera. It's a pretty interesting program. I learned about it yesterday. And if anyone's interested, ask me or look it up online, the Million Veteran Program. Thanks.
James, anything? Mr. Campbell?
I just want to respond to the public comments that were made. I was born and raised in Mills River my entire life. And one of the things that I know about being born and raised in Mills River is that you treat people with respect. And there's not a single person on this staff that I don't have the utmost respect for. And you don't come in and make personal attacks on people, especially when they're doing their job. So if you're going to make attacks about this town, then you can direct them at council, but don't direct them at personal staff.
All right, I'd like to put my condolences out to the Sammy Britton and their family. They're lifelong friends of mine and he'll be missed greatly. And I just hope the family can move on and make peace with it. Other than that, I'm ready to move on with the rest of our agenda if y'all are. Anybody else? Okay. All right, manager updates when you're ready, sir.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I just have a few updates for you. Residents may see white paint markings both on South Mills River Road as well as on Old Haywood, on Haywood Road as well, out here outside of the park. We found out from NCDOT that right now they're starting to mark up those roads for upcoming pavement repairs and resurfacing over the next 18 months. So 18 months, year and a half. Right now, we don't have any more concrete timeline than that. Essentially, they the way the contracting works, it gets bid out and they have a certain amount of time in order to do those projects. So right now we can see that work's starting on that with the markings, but we're not quite sure exactly when it is. Once we get more information on when they're about to start, we'll make sure to share that out as well. The next UDO public forum, again, that's the Unified Development Ordinance public forum, is currently scheduled for Wednesday, January 21st. That's from 6:15 to 8:30 p.m. That it's going to be at Town Hall again. So please mark your calendars for that. There's also going to be, just as we have in the past with the way the schedule works, is that the UDO consultants that are going to be in town are going to be presenting to Town Council the next night at the Town Council meeting on January 22nd, again, with the meeting starting at 6:30 p.m. Two items also dealing with Unified Development Ordinance. We've talked about are both postcards being mailed out to residents and property owners, as well as with flyers. So town staff has been working quite hard to make sure that we get that out as fast as humanly possible. So for postcards, we believe that they should be out in the mail next week. So my hope is that they're in mailboxes by the end of next week. We can control a lot. Unfortunately, we cannot control the postal service. So we don't know exactly when they're going to hit, but we do know that they're going to be out there. And then also per council request for the flyers, those flyers are also at the printer, should be done, if we should not receive it tomorrow, sometime next week, and should be out to the schools by the end of next week. That's the goal that we have. Again, targeting the elementary schools per council's request. Right now, we're in the final stages of identifying the next quarter's community conversations. Right now, it's the first week of February. Again, as a reminder, we had the first community conversations meeting in District 3 at the fire substation down in that district. This one right now, we are targeting the main fire station. And so I'm right now just coordinating with the fire chief on the exact date and time of that location. I believe if we don't have it tomorrow and posting it on our website and our social media channels, we're going to have it out first of next week as well, to make sure that everybody has enough time to put it on their calendars. And so I hope that everybody comes out for that meeting as well. And I just wanted to provide another brief update. There's going to be a bigger update January 22nd as we go through our quarterly updates on major projects and initiatives. I just wanted to highlight that even with the holiday season, as a reminder, well, I would just start with, as a reminder for all residents, council gave direction to staff to go through the reimbursement process for the repairs of the North Loop and the river access, again, with the focus on making sure we get river access opened as quickly as possible, which is currently targeted for late spring, early summer. Right now, we are still on track to meet that deadline. So we've been in contact with the firm to make sure that we are still on track. The next couple of steps include getting to bidding and contracting. That all those elements will be coming before council, just because of the price point, as well as making sure that we're comfortable with what that approach looks like. And then also we are kicking off, I'm very excited about this, kicking off the project next stages for the park maintenance facility and then the park expansion project, specifically around what council has directed us to look at, which is for the park maintenance facility, a needs assessment before that design work is going. We are about to kick that off. I'm very excited about that project, which should be starting hopefully in the next few weeks. And then right now, staff is currently in the first review stage of the next steps on the park expansion property. Once we are able to, right now we're cleaning that up, but I'm very excited by January 22nd to be able to have a full report to council on where we're at with that, including next steps and what council should expect for deliverables on those projects. So very excited about all of those.
That all you got?
And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Okay. I need approval of our consent agenda by motion, please.
I'll make a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
Thank you, Sandra. Second.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Jim. All right, any more discussion on this consent agenda?
I just wanted to make a note on the agriculture committee.
Yep.
I know in the past, we've appointed people who lived outside the town of Mills River.
Mhm.
And just moving forward in the future, I'd like for us to take a look at that. And if there's opportunities to put people who actually live in the town of Mills River on that committee, that we explore that further.
I understand. I remember back in the past, we had trouble filling that. How many seats is on that
There's 7 on it, which is the largest. I mean,
group
that's
we got? Planning board has how many seats? Five.
7. yeah.
Seven. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Okay.
And I wouldn't, like on that committee, I wouldn't even mind seeing 2 people from the same family, just because it's not a decision-making board. I mean, they give
Yeah.
recommendations. They're
I,
not.
s- I see.
And even like if Jeff Young's on it or something, I mean, I don't have a problem with having, an older generation, a younger generation of the same
Yeah,
family in
that
there.
would be good.
So
Something to look into or,
just for future.
no.
There's no open seat, so we did not advertise it.
Yeah, what I'm saying, can we just
Yes, we can. Yeah.
See if we can get some new, people to sign up. Yep. Get on that. Okay. Okay. Any more discussion? Hearing any?
I
No?
like having the open seat on there just because there's people that don't live here, farm here.
Yeah,
So,
true.
I think it's good to leave our options open.
Okay. All right. Everybody good? Any more discussion? All right. All right, I got a first, I got a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. All right. Moving on to our regular agenda, A, our Blue Ridge ABC discussion. And I think Matt, you're gonna lead us in that one.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So, as a reminder, at the December 11th meeting, business meeting specifically, there was an item to discuss, the potential for the town of Mills River, to start the process of entering into a potential agreement with Blue Ridge ABC Board for an ABC store in the town of Mills River. And so at that time, there was a request, to bring that item forward to this meeting as well. Mr. Jeff Nance is with us from the Blue Ridge ABC Board. I'm going to ask him to come join us up at the table here, if you may. And so he's here to answer any questions, concerns, issues that you may have. One of the requests that council had at that last meeting was regarding potential revenue that may come from having such a store within the town. If I may, before I turn it over, I'll just, again, since we have an audience here and an audience at home. So as a reminder, in May 2012, Henderson County residents approved a countywide referendum on the sale of malt beverages and unfortified wines. That referendum at that time included the sale of the election for ABC stores within the town. Within the countywide. In May of 2024, there was actually 2 boards, and he can speak much better at this than I can. But the city of Hendersonville and the town of Laurel Park joined together into the Blue Ridge ABC board. There are currently 4 stores, 3 within Hendersonville, 1 within Laurel Park. And then currently it serves a 5-member board as well. And so the town was approached by the Blue Ridge ABC board to consider that potential expansion into the town of Mills River. It would increase it to the number of 5. No location is identified at this time. This is very much a preliminary discussion to see if there is interest in exploring this further, and that would give guidance to Blue Ridge ABC board to consider the drafting process and the agreement process, et cetera. I believe I'm going to pause here at this time. I'm going to turn it over to you, sir, to help fill us any gaps that I missed.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council, and a happy new year to you all and citizens of town of Mills River. My name is Jeff Nance. I'm the general manager of the Blue Ridge ABC board. This year will be my 35th year working with the North Carolina ABC system. I'm here mostly just to present data for what an ABC store in the town of Mills River, as far as sales and distributions to the town, would generate. And that information is based off towns of similar population. So the projected annual sales for an ABC store in the town of Mills River would be between 1.2 million up to $2 million a year in annual sales. And the town of Mills River would receive approximately the first year, if the store was approved, $80,000 to $100,000 in funds. And that's a conservative estimate. The Blue Ridge ABC board would be responsible for every penny of the cost of opening or leasing a store. No money from the town of Mills River would be used for that. So I'm just going to give a few towns of actually less population. If you're familiar with Burnsville, up near Mars Hill, 1,800 is the population. The median household income is 47,000. In Mills River, the median household income is 88,000. The population is about 7,500. Is that correct?
Yes.
Burnsville does $2.1 million a year in sales, and they just built a $1.5 million ABC store. And last year they gave the city of Burnsville $75,000. Marshville, I think that's the home of Randy Travis, down in the middle of the state, 2,700 residents, median household income 61,000. The store generated $2.2 million in sales, with 57,000 going back to the town. Closer to my hometown of Asheboro, Randleman ABC, 4,700 is the population. Median household income is 52,000 a year. The store generated $3 million. The town of Randleman received $265,000 last year. So all I'm here to do is actually answer any questions that I can. I'm cautiously optimistic that a store here would generate $2 million a year. I know it's a touchy subject. I've had my own opinions about it over the years as well, but the town could benefit somewhere year 2 or 3, $150,000 a year in distributions.
And if I may, council, just briefly, just to put a little more specifics on this, the agreement, which again would have to be fleshed out over the next, the coming months, there's a percentage that all stores receive based off of the distribution, so off the net profit. So so that would be a part of the negotiation would be what that percentage would be for the town of Mills River if a store was located within the town. As Mr. Nance has said, at least according to the draft agreements as well, there is no cost associated to the town directly for the store, for the land of the store. It would be run and operated from Blue Ridge ABC board. And also when you mentioned, and for clarification, please, the first year, that number also, from my understanding, would include because of all the upfront costs of potentially opening that store, there would be a little bit of an adjustment there, as well as it wouldn't be July 1st, the beginning of the fiscal year. Would probably be, halfway through the year or so, which would be, that's why the first year, that number is what it is relative to what you're talking about for future years. Is that correct?
Yeah, there's approximately $500,000 that the Blue Ridge ABC board would spend on opening that store.
And is it your understanding as well that, again, as a current 5-member board, that there would be a conversation about a town of Mills River board seat as well?
There would absolutely be a seat from the town of Mills River.
Would that seat be held by a council member or just somebody in general? Or does it
There's
really
somewhat
matter?
of a conflict, but that
I see what you
happens
mean.
in other counties. There's
So,
council members.
Most likely it would just be a resident of the town.
Correct.
Okay.
And I want to add too that this is a great opportunity for, as far as an employer, as far as our benefit package goes for, and we would recruit residents from the town of Mills River to be employed at this store. We have state retirement, 401k, paid health insurance, 20 days of vacation, your first year, 12 days. This is just not trying to sell anything, because at the end of the day, it's your decision to make. But it is a great employer for the county, and especially for folks that do not have an associate's degree or college education. We start at like $38,000 a year for a full-time just sales associate, to stock and run a cash register.
How many of those employees would be employed there?
And it's the store doing that kind of volume between 2 and 3 full-time employees.
And then several part-time, it sounds
Yes.
like? Okay,
Or-
okay.
or-
Town has not $1 in this FLA to go with this, not $1.
$1.
And in one of the meetings I heard where a portion of y'all's proceeds has to go toward what, drinking awareness?
Alcohol education.
Okay, and where does that money go to and what does that look coming out the other end as a?
Some of the organizations we annually give money to is the Henderson County School System. That's actually our largest receiver of education grants. This year they get $55,000 a year for, they do a project graduation where they invite seniors to come to the auditorium or a gym, and they buy pizza and do activities instead of them going out drinking. That money goes to every elementary school in the county receives $1,000 for the social worker to determine kids that might need a need at home, whether that's clothes or food. That the social worker determines where that money or who that money goes to, and then we see Safe Flight, if anybody's familiar with them, it's a domestic violence shelter. They receive about $25,000 annually from us for women and children that have been abused in regards to spouses or boyfriends and that sort of thing. Hope Coalition is another organization we give to. They work more with high school teenagers on prevention of alcohol abuse. And actually the public libraries in the county receive money as well.
Anything else? Any other questions?
Who would decide where the store goes and who owns the building or?
The Blue Ridge ABC board would actually, if it was a piece of property, they would own the property. We would, but my understanding is they're looking at leasing a parcel, if possible. But the Blue Ridge ABC board is an entity of the buildings and the employees and those sort of things.
And how many Mills River residents would this be able to employ? Because I know when we talked before, I thought y'all said that y'all provided the staff.
During, may not have mentioned it during the meeting with you, but we would look for residents here. We would take applications from the town as far as 2 or 3 full-time employees and approximately 4 part-time employees. We would prefer them to be, and actually we have a couple that are employed now with us part-time that live in the town of Mills River.
If I may, Mr. Mayor. Just another quick clarification. It's my understanding that when you're looking at a potential location, there are requirements and restrictions about where they can go. Could you help to state
Yeah.
what those requirements are or those restrictions are, as well as, it's also my understanding there has to be certain posting for a certain amount of time as
Right.
well.
Ironically, this past Monday, a retired ALE officer who graduated from West Henderson High School, who now works for the ABC Commission, is the Western North Carolina person that's going to assist with this store opening if it moves forward. And he would, there's certain guidelines about the proximity of a store to a church or a public school. It has to be so many 100 yards, or I forget the exact number. But then the Blue Ridge ABC board would, if we identify, let's just say Publix, the new Publix is going up, that it's determined that that's where a store would go, we'd have to post a sign on the door front of that parcel for 30 days prior to an opening, and we would respond to any opposition, phone calls, that sort of thing from the general public.
Jeff, is those numbers that you was giving out for those other municipalities, is that just public record stuff?
It is, yes,
Okay.
you can go on NorthCarolinaABC.com and go under sales of revenues and of ABC boards. Fletcher is on my list too, 8,000 residents. They did $4.5 million last year. $330,000 went to the town of Fletcher.
You don't happen to have, the Airport Road, Buncombe County location, do you? Is it on there, or do they?
Sweeten Creek.
Well, that was Fletcher, so I see what you're saying. Yeah, Sweet
Yeah.
Creek, is it way up there too?
That's on the other side of, it's further up from the
Yeah.
Fletcher store.
Oh, gotcha, okay.
All the bars and not bars, they're restaurants that straddle, I don't even know what road it is that goes through Fletcher. I'm sorry.
25, yeah.
Longhorn, Olive Garden, all those stores actually, restaurants purchase their liquor from Asheville ABC because that's the county line. And that was the main reason that Asheville opened the store on Sweeten Creek Road, to accommodate those permittees from having to drive downtown Asheville to get their purchases. Now they just, I don't know, it's what, a mile and a half,
Mile and a
2
half
miles.
Okay,
And that was over 10 years ago, I think, when that store opened.
okay.
So there's 4 stores now,
Correct.
so the revenue is split 25% amongst everybody, or?
I don't think I have that attachment in front. I think you had it on yours, but it's a percentage that the county gets around 42% of the net profits. I think the city of Hendersonville gets, I'm off the top of my head, I think it's 44%. The county schools get some of the distribution as well, other than the education grant.
But then where would Mills River fit in this?
That's where, there has to be some kind of conversation on the front side, because I think it's going to generate around 1.5 million to 2 million. But we won't know that until the store opens. So, I think it'll be 8% of the overall net profit of the entire system. But we can change that percentage. The board is able to change that percentage every year if it needs to be, because the Laura Park store, for instance, they do $2 million a year. That's what they do. They received last year $104,000. So yeah, they'll have to, all the municipalities are going to benefit from the Mills River store, but we want to make sure that there's the shares, kind of the slice of it goes to the respected stores that are generating the largest income. So a conservative number, I believe, is $125,000 a year to the town of Mills River. But, and again, it could be, I think it's going to be more than that.
Question, discussion? We'll, take a little while, okay. Jeff, if you don't mind, take a seat right here. Is that what you want to do?
Well, not necessarily. I just thought we have a lot of folks here tonight. Would anyone have any comments they'd like to make on this? Or some
Okay, hang on.
last comments? And that's not,
Are y'all good with that? Going this route? Comments? Well, we kind of need to let them know. I mean, one way or the other, we gotta get the ball rolling. If we're going to, if not, it's a done deal. Staff have a problem if we ask people to come up for some comments. I would put you on the 3-minute timer because we got a lot. Don't know how many's wanting to talk. But, I would put you on 3-minute timer if she's able.
Yes, Mayor. So all we would ask is that you state your name and then your address so that
Yep.
we can have it for the record.
Yeah, for record.
And we may ask for you to repeat that just so we can make sure we get it down correctly.
Or if we want to, we could put this back up there and have them
that would
put
be
it on the bottom. Okay. Let's put it. All right, we'll start, just put them on the bottom of that. They may need a pen up there. Okay, if you want to, come on up.
My name's Nathan Weber. I live at 47 Indian Trail, Mills River.
Okay.
Just a simple question. Is that money limited? The town can do what it wants to with the funds generated from the sales. It's not.
Yeah. Not to say it couldn't be appropriated at budget time to go into specific, things.
Uh-huh.
You know, we take our ABC money we get now from beer and wine sales in town and we put it back into our nonprofits.
Okay.
And we usually, in the past, we've added some to that, but that's specifically where that's went since that went in effect, really.
And then so the council decides like, hey, we've got this funds, we can appropriately use it for whatever.
Exactly.
If it's grass or kids, whatever. Okay, cool. Yeah. I think it's a great idea. As a person that socially drinks, it's either Laurel Park or it's all the way out the airport or it's downtown. This community, as you are aware, is, I don't know, growing quickly.
Sure.
So, capitalize on it. If you can make some money. I mean, it's a double-edged sword, right? Does that mean we're gonna have more incidences of DUIs or, do we have more patrol because of this? I mean, these are all questions to sort of hash out, but
Gotcha.
got my support. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Time, Council. And Mayor.
Anyone else? Come on.
Yeah, good evening. Paul Hoffman, 19 Tiger Lily Lane. I was just curious, is this something that residents of Mills River are asking for, an ABC store in the town, or is this something that the town is asking because they want to generate some extra revenue, or where is the actual, or who actually initiated the
So,
ABC?
the Blue Ridge ABC board approached us about the possibility of locating a store in Mills River. Pretty much just asking for our blessing. And we discussed it, with one-on-ones, two-on-ones with them and a couple of the board members. And tonight's just the night it happened to come up for just discussion to see if we wanted to move forward or not.
So nobody else really knows much other than maybe the people here tonight and y'all.
Yeah, exactly. You're kind of hearing it, I'm gonna say secondhand, but just weeks after we've heard it. We heard it right before Christmas time.
If you approve this, say tonight, what happens next? It just gets built and then people notice that it's there all of a sudden?
It's got to go through a process. They have to post it, that it's a possibility that it's coming to this certain specific site in case it gets challenged with the school being so close or a church or something, if there's a church right over the hill, it wouldn't recognize, it can come up on against and have to be relocated. But it's just like almost any other building. It'll just eventually get a building to get leased. signage would go up, they would stock it, and then it would have an opening date and move forward, much like any other business, honestly.
True, but it is kind of a unique type of building. I do remember he mentioned there's gonna be something put on the door. So for people who happen to coincidentally be passing by would notice, would there be any other kind of notice? In the
I
paper
might have
or
to ask for
website,
Jeff
something?
to answer that, but I remember they was talking about there would be a sign posted on the property. Is that right, Jeff? That it was coming, and
One other thing to add.
I may need you to come up before we can get you on the record.
Yeah, Mr. Nance, if it's okay, just, speaking to the microphone for me,
There's a
please.
new statute that says no cities in the state of North Carolina can open up an ABC store without going through an existing board in the county. So yes, we approached the town of Mills River, the ABC commission in order, we're a monopoly. In order to prevent privatization of our stores, the commission encourages us to open new stores. And this is a town that has grown in population and tourism and et cetera. So the posting, we could post it in the paper or there's some type of, we could do those sort of things. But this sign I'm talking about is a large sign. It's as big or bigger than the monitor there to respond to any calls, those sort of things.
Early on. It would go up as soon as they found a location to let the public know this is the idea, this is what they're thinking about doing.
Well, I
Sure,
understand. I just for the record, I'm not opposed to have an ABC store. What I'm curious about though is ABC stores are kind of in a category. It's not like any other business.
True,
I mean, just
true.
not correcting all respect. It's not like any other business that's opening up. It's in a category of certain types of businesses that's opening up. And I'd just be curious to know what the rest of the community thinks. There's so many things that all of a sudden one day you'd happen to walk by, and you're right, it's a big sign, but if you're not in that shopping center walking past the building, you don't know it.
Sure.
And there's too many times when things like this just get discovered by residents of any town USA. And for those people who may have something, it may be a majority of folks, then what do they have? They have nothing, right? Because now it's already been done. So I was just curious about the process, and I would just caution you to try to communicate to the fullest extent possible before you put your sign on the front of that building, say it's coming into this new area. That's all I really wanted to say.
And I will add that, was it 2012 when that referendum was voted in by the citizens?
Yes, sir.
That allowed beer and wine sales and an ABC store to possibly locate here. And that did go in a referendum in front of the Board of Elections, put it on the ballot, and it passed, I think, in 2012.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
If I may, just one point of clarification, at least to my understanding, what's before council tonight, is the question of whether or not you all are interested in continuing the conversation. So
Yes.
the next step is actually the potential working through of an agreement.
True.
That agreement would then still have to come before council and be agreed upon before any other such actions are being there. So although I know there's conversation about the store and rightfully so about those elements, this is not, at least to my understanding, and Mr. Nance can correct me, this is not council giving approval of an ABC store within the town of Mills River. It is an approval of continuing the conversation to start drafting up a potential agreement, and you all are willing and interested in entertaining that agreement.
Yes. Yeah, until I signed a document or whoever was in the seat here, it wouldn't be a legitimate contract between the two parties for them to even locate here. But that language would have to be, it'd take a few weeks or months to draft that up and get it between all the board members to agree and us to agree on it. This is simply just a discussion to see if we're willing to move forward even to that stage.
And if I may, I just want to make sure I stated that correctly. Is that correct, Mr. Nance?
All three municipalities agreeing upon this contract.
Could you possibly just repeat that into that? Yeah, sorry, thank you.
We're months away from potentially opening the store. We would come back to you all once the agreement has been presented to Laurel Park, Hendersonville, and you all look at it. Yeah, it will have the percentage at that point on there of the distributions. And I agree with the gentleman that spoke earlier. We need to filter it. The press will do that for us.
Right. I had one's hand raised.
Yep.
Okay, come on up.
You ready here? Deborah Kazee, 245 Forge Crest Drive. And I've been coming to meetings for about a year now and listening to the different people of Mills River talk about how they like to keep it rural. And I was just kind of wondering, when is money gathering so much money just gonna stop? With the ABC store, I have gone into an ABC store, I get it from my husband. There's kind of a riff-raff type of people that visit those stores. Even in Fletcher, even in Laurel Park, I was just in one today. You get a different kind, I don't know where they come from, but they crawl out of the woodwork. You've got your homeless, you've got your drunks. You see it at the Fletcher store, you see it at these different stores. Just Mills River, and just listening to the people that have come to these meetings, do they want that in this town? Yes, $100,000 would be good revenue, but it doesn't seem, yes, we have breweries here and they're fun and they're good. And we get taxes out of them. We get taxes out of Sierra Nevada for Mills River. We have a lot of taxes that are coming in from alcohol. Do we need to add another thing like the ABC store? Just food for thought to think about.
My answer to that would be I have to represent those folks too. What you call riffraff, they're part of my 7,500 people, to be honest with you. I ain't telling you which way I'm going, but I have to represent all of them. Come on up, Mr. Britt.
Joe Britton, 100 Old Turnpike Road. Listening to the conversation, I really think the town should seriously look into this. People are going to drink, even if they have to drive to Asheville to get it. If the town can make a little money, and most ABC stores are pretty well controlled, it's not like you can go in there and open your bottle and sit in the corner and drink it. They put it in the bag and you have to leave the parking lot. If they see you open it, they will call the law. I've had friends run into that before. So I think the council should really consider this, because this would be money. You could throw it in with the other alcohol money for the nonprofits, or find another good cause to help the community. So I hope y'all give it careful consideration, look at all the facts, and if it's good for us, if it's going to bring in extra money that will take a little pressure off the taxpayers, I don't see a problem. Thank you.
Anyone else? Anyone else? Come on.
Already signed 7904 Boylston Highway, Ron Benzing. My concern have already been spoken. One is if the reason to have an ABC store is to get more money, aren't there other ways to get more money than to bring more alcohol into the community? That's one thought I have. The other one is was also mentioned that Ingles stores I go to, if I want to get a bottle of wine or any kind of alcohol, I can get it there. So my question as a resident is, why do we need an ABC store to increase the sale of alcohol, which is a problem for many families and a serious problem for the youth? So I just want to speak to that and be on record to say I would vote against this if I have opportunity.
Okay. Thank you. Jeff, would you, is it possible to buy y'all's product in a Ingles or something? I don't, okay. Yeah. Okay. I was making sure.
What
hard liquor, basically, that's a true statement?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'll respect, dude. I mean, I was raised my mother was abused physically and verbally from an alcoholic. I understand the effects of it. people are gonna do it regardless, and you can stand opposed of having a store here, and I can respect that. But as a taxpayer, I'm not gonna ever live here. It's could be potentially to reduce your property taxes. So the town of Oak Island, where my wife and I have a second home, they started this paid to park thing. The town it's not the same as alcohol. I get that. First year, they generated $1.5 million. They followed through with their promise. $500,000 of the net profit would be to hold the tax rate in check. They did that. They used another 500,000 to the general fund. They used 400,000 of that $1.4 million to improve different things around the town. Yeah. So, on a personal level, it's only going to give us more work in Blue Ridge ABC board. So, but I think in town's the one making the decision on it, because the referendum was conducted back in 2012. The whole county is wet. Saluda wants an ABC, wherever, Etowah. I respect the opposition. I know where it's coming from, but I also know that we don't have a lot of riffraff in Hendersonville. We do not. I worked 26 years at Greensboro ABC in the middle of the state. Robberies, breaking in overnight, we have no shoplifting. When I say no shoplifting, they might steal a pint of liquor occasionally. But this area of the state has some of the most wonderful people I've ever met in my life. And I'm just thankful for the opportunity that I've been up here for the past 7 years. It's felt just like home to me. It's been the greatest chapter of my life. And we do a lot to prevent underage drinking. We will refuse to intoxicated patrons if we notice any indications that they've already been drinking, but that's not going to eliminate what people do when they get home with controlled substance. But that's what the C stands for in ABC, is control. So
I will mention that I've talked to 3 higher ups at the sheriff's department and asked them if they felt like it would be a burden to our patrol, and did they think we would have to increase our patrol staff that we're paying $1 million+ for. And they assured me that that is one of the few businesses that they didn't have to worry about like you would have thought. I couldn't believe that. I mean, I don't think there's been a piece of glass busted out of one of the stores, they said, in 12 or 13 years or something. So, but I guess it depends on who you talk to, but I'm just telling you what I've tried to do some due diligence. I've tried to ask. My biggest fear is we get it out here, we get 100,000, and then I've got to hire 2 more deputies, and it's going to cost me 250. That's backing up. So I'm trying to think from a mayor's standpoint. You know, I've got a guy over here got to do a budget here for me pretty soon. It looks like he could possibly get some more money maybe halfway through the year or next year. But then all of a sudden I've got to add on patrol staff to control it. So I'm trying to look ahead.
and left out too that we give $60,000 a year to law enforcement. We give approximately 45,000 to the Hendersonville Police Department and 13,000 to the Laurel Park Police Department, and there'll be money most likely to the sheriff's office from the proceeds from the store here.
I will add that I've been here almost 17 years. I was here when the first brewery was coming. There was this many preachers in here. There was 187 people showed up, just like it was a few nights. They was lined up down through there. We couldn't get them in. And it was going to be the worst thing that ever happened to Mills River. And you know what? My biggest complaint I hear as a mayor about all these breweries? The noise from the music. I mean, I'm being honest. I got to be honest with you. I mean, I don't hear about nobody getting pulled over, leaving there. It's always the noise from the music or how late it's being played. And I'm just being open. I'm just telling you what I hear, you know, trying to be honest Shannon here and tell you what I know. But we're at a discussion point here. I think at this point in time, we just need to decide between the five of us, we're all here. Do we want to move it on down the road or not? It's kind of that simple, really. And then we either move on with it and deal with it with a contract look, or we just wave it off and it's up to y'all.
I mean, for me, I'm open to continue the conversation. I mean, I can't vote on something if I don't have to know what I'm voting on. So, I mean, I looked at the referendum and across the county, 67% of the people in Henderson County voted for ABC stores. That's not even close. 67% in 2012. I'm sure that number would be much greater now. So, you know, and we already serve liquor in Mills River. It's nothing new. So, and again, it's not a conversation of, are we opening a store? Are we serving liquor? Are we, you know, it's whether or not we want to accept money and have a position at the table. So.
Wants to start, yay or nay?
I don't, I mean, I don't, I always bring up money. I do think that's the hat we're supposed to wear, but I also don't wanna waste a whole lot of time. I don't wanna see it on 280, and I think, yeah. I think we should just go ahead and vote, because I don't wanna waste their time sitting here knowing that I'm gonna vote no and whenever it comes up, because it's right on the side of 280.
I get it.
Yeah, and, it's my phone. I'm not texting. This is my Hewlett Packard calculator app. Yes, I'm a geek, and my Hewlett Packard calculator is locked away safely. So, just doing some numbers, but regardless of the numbers, I can't support it when, you know, to keep Mills River, to try to keep our rural feeling. I just don't see how that advances the feeling of the rural Mills River. I'm just not, just can't support it.
Okay.
Well, I've lived here my whole life and so far we've survived without it. And if they've been getting it, they know where they're getting it at, you know, so I don't think they'll have a problem continue getting it there. I don't really care to see one on 280. And I don't think it supports family values. And as far as all the money that they donate for battered women and children and teenage treatment, I think it's providing a product to generate money to treat the effect. And I don't think it's a good fit for Mills River.
I think just from a technical standpoint, they don't have to have our approval to put the store here. They can do it without our approval. So voting no does nothing. It doesn't keep them from putting the store here. I just want to put that on the table, just so that the public knows. It just means we collect nothing. We have no say so in how it's ran.
Yeah, well, the question's been asked. Do we as a council support it? It's not the same as a brewery coming in because that's a zoning decision. With zoning decisions, the decision was made when the zoning laws were written that these certain things are allowed. In this case, we've been asked our opinion, and that makes it a political decision. That means we have to think the people we've talked to, the people we represent, the feedback we get, and how we feel that fits into what people elected us to do is to try to keep Mills River and vote our conscience. And you know, I've said many times, I said as I was running, I'm going to vote my conscience, and you're not going to like me every time I vote. And you may not agree with me if I say this, but I say that I'm not for it, but that's my conscience. And that's my view of Mills River and keeping Mills River. The people that I've talked to, not one of them has said they were in favor of it. Maybe those are the people that talk to me. I don't know. But, you know, if we were to allow a conversation, we need to have more public input. As it is right now, I'm not that that will change my position. It's just that I don't feel like everybody's had a chance to talk anyway, because this is the first night it's come up. But, you know, when people voted and they chose who to vote for, you know, they voted. And I think I'm very grateful and humbled that people voted for me. But what you voted for, somebody's not going to be able to support an ABC store, and I'm going to support safety issues because I'm an engineer. So that's what you got. Someone who's going to vote their conscience. You know, in 3 years, vote for someone else, and I'll hug your neck, say thank you, and buy you a soda pop.
Only thing I got to say is, you know, I consider it it's legal. It's something that's legal. I think this community here in the near future will have to deal with the possibility of marijuana sales. I think it's going to be a statewide issue. It's going to come forth. Um, and I would say yes to the idea of moving forward to see what my numbers look like, because I'm going to tell you, and Judge are sitting here, I'm a straight shooter. My motto, if I don't get it there, I'm going to be coming to you near pretty soon and asking for a tax increase, because we just bought 70 acres and everybody on all our master plans and all is wanting a big old park, wanting a place for his kids. And I don't care, but I couldn't expect, I probably won't be here, but I couldn't expect the council to just let that land lay barren. You know, we've got grants to make it a park, to help pay for it. And that's what we're moving forward with. So, you know, that equates to almost 1 penny a year. And I need y'all to know, now listen to me. We collect 19 cents, 19 cents on 100. 11 of that goes to the fire department. 5 of it goes to sheriff's department. So that leaves us 4. Leaves us 4. And we do pretty good on that 4. If you think about how we've done over all these years, but we've been kind of gracious and had some good sales tax come in and all. But just know, if this gets kicked out, this is just one way I was going to supplement the tax a little bit. So we may have to just kick in more tax money from you guys. And I'm sure there's a lot of you that'll be willing to do it. And I'll hear a bunch that's not willing to do it. And I'm willing to accept that. But in saying that, that's all I have to say. So I call for a consensus. We don't need it. We need a motion on this since it's just discussion item. Okay.
Yeah, just direction for the.
Yeah. So where are you at, Sandra? You a no? Jeff, you're a no?
No.
I'm a yes. James?
No.
Right?
Yes.
Okay. So the no's have it. I'm sorry, but I appreciate you coming out and talking to us. Okay. Have a great evening. All right. Let's see here. Moving on. Our strategic planning update. I think Mr. McCure handle that, getting us started.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Just trying to take some final notes there real quick. So, before you this evening, is the potential culmination of about a year's worth of work, a little over a year's worth of work. So as a reminder, as a part of the FY 2025 budget, and in fact, as a part of the conversation when I first joined the town, was around the potential review or potential adoption of the town's first strategic planning effort. And so over the last year or so, we have continued to move forward with that mission as given by council through the budget. And I'm just wanted to set the stage a little bit, and then we're going to go into what these next steps are. But as a reminder, in May of 2025, council at that time adopted the town's first ever strategic planning mission, vision, and values. And then coming in June of 2025, council formally adopted our goals that are going to be guiding us over the next 3 to 5 years. The next step of that process is looking at what are called objectives. Those objectives align with the goals. And essentially, those are guidelines to help staff recognize how we're going to try to achieve those goals. And then through the budgeting process, have conversations with council to make sure that we're staying, steering the ship in the direction that council wishes. The analogy that I use is, we all I've driven on the Blue Ridge Parkway and you know how windy that road is. And every once in a while you see an area without a guardrail and it can get rather nervous, rather scary. And when you see that guardrail, to me, that's what this strategic planning effort is. It's a saying, regardless of the direction that and what comes before council and staff, the guardrail makes sure that we're continuing to move forward with the overall vision, mission, values, and goals that council has set forward. And so the last step of this effort are the objectives, as I mentioned tonight. And if approved either tonight or in the future, this is going to help staff with our what we call action items, which are those items, those projects, those initiatives that are a part of the budgeting conversation that we're about to kick off in about a month from now. So in fact, if council gives direction this evening on these objectives, then literally within, starting tomorrow, staff is going to start working on aligning their budgeting conversations around this direction. Let's see if this works for me. All right, Kevin, you're going to have to drive for me. All right, it's working for me now. So I want to take a quick second here and thank all the partners that were a part of this. So Town Council, first and foremost, for the direction so far throughout this entire effort. The Data Synthesis Group, which is a fancy name for 4 staff members who have helped to work through a lot of the weeds and the nitty gritty for this. The Strategic Planning Committee, which was made up of 3 staff members, 2 council members, and 2 advisory board members. Advisory board members as a whole, as well as outside partners, were surveyed at the beginning a couple of times as well to make sure that we were going in the right direction. So I just want to take a moment and say thank you. It's a lot of hard work to get to this point. So to orient ourselves, as I mentioned, it's been a 12-month process. It kicked off in December of 2024. And then, as I mentioned before, goals and objectives were the last step of the deliverables that happened in June. And then phase 2 was looking at performance measurement and decision making. Again, we started the objectives conversation in June, we're culminating to that today. It's a 6-month process. And as I mentioned, now we're about to go into objectives and then actions, culminating to the end of December. So this is the draft 1-pager of our strategic planning effort, Mills River 2030. It highlights the vision, mission, and values that council has and we're going to so as a part of this second to last step before we get to those action items before you. So as just to orient yourselves a little bit to this conversation, the objectives, as I mentioned, were about a 6-month process. So once council gave us direction on those goals, the data synthesis group, again, of staff got together and said, what may be achievable actions that we can look at obtaining over the next 3 to 5 years? And after those conversations back and forth, we reached out, looked at, talked to subject matter experts. We looked at, best practices, et cetera. We took all of that and then brought it to the strategic planning committee and then got their input and their feedback as well, answered questions, and then created, and then edited and updated as appropriate. So I want to just go through these. I want to make sure that I spend enough time to talk through them and answer any questions that you all have. So again, the first one here, there's 7 items. The first one being average number of qualified applicants per first time. Oh, I'm sorry, jumped in. The first goal is to attract, retain, and cultivate an engaged workforce. These words just seem like, mere words, but we spent hours, we spent days, we spent weeks because we wanted to make sure the strategic plan that is before you today is a Mills River strategic plan. And so attract, retain, and cultivate an engaged workforce per job posting at or above 3. Again, best practice, making sure you have qualified applicants. You want to make sure those job postings are meeting the people bringing them into the organization. Number of days to fill a vacant position is less than 60 days from requisition to job offer. Again, we want to make sure that we're being efficient and effective with our timelines. Employee turnover rate under 15%. 15% sounds like a large number. We have 12 full-time employees. So 12 full-time employees equates to, if we see more than 2 within a year, we're going to look at that and we're going to have conversations about what that turnover rate means. 85% or more who say they intend to stay in the organization. This is going to be an upcoming employee engagement survey question that focuses on, again, 85%. More than, if more than 2 say that they don't intend to stay, we're going to look into that. We're going to ask questions about that. At least 85% of staff are satisfied with their job. Same idea. At least 85% of staff are satisfied with the training and development they receive. And then last but certainly not least, at least 85% of staff are satisfied with the availability of resources to complete their jobs. What I want to make sure and be very clear on are that these are elements for us to be able to determine how we are effectively doing our job to achieve the goal of attract, retain, and cultivate an engaged workforce. There is not blame that comes with these objectives. If we start to see elements that may fall under those thresholds, that puts a yellow flag up for us. That says, caution, we need to have a conversation about this. Why did that drop? Why is that below that number? Did something happen? What, do we understand why turnover rate may be what it is? Do we understand why we didn't get enough job applications? Those are benchmarks for us to be able to say, let's have a conversation about how we could potentially affect positive change and within goal 1. So I want to pause there. Any questions from council on what I've said so far?
And I guess you as the manager will be tracking all these statistics.
Yes, sir.
With the help of your department heads.
Yes, sir. So every objective that you will see tonight has an objective lead, which is a staff member that is assigned to help shepherd this through. And then ultimately, at the end of the day, it is upon me to make sure that we're achieving that. Now, I will be getting in later on about how council can make sure that you all can keep us accountable to this as well, because they're not our objectives, they are yours. And so we will talk through what those quarterly updates look like. Yes,
That's
sir.
where I was headed with that. Okay.
Yes, sir. Any questions around goal 1?
I know that the employee turnover rate under 50% is high on corporate level, but since you only have 12 employees, is that not a little, that's like 1.
Yeah, so it would be more than 2. So the idea for this would be sorry, it would be 2. So not more than 2. It would be 2. Yes, sir. So if we had 1 that left, that wouldn't necessarily flag anything for us. But if we saw 2 leave, it would be an opportunity for us to say, is there something culturally that we need to look at? Is there something with our benefits? Is there policies? Is there a way for us to be able to retain? Or is it just normal circumstances? Again, it's a check mark for us to be able to say, let's look into this.
Okay, so it's more of a look, not I'm not going to get rid of the second person because I want to be under this percent.
Oh, absolutely not. No, and in fact, the one thing that's amazing, I really enjoy strategic planning. So other people can say whether or not it's amazing or not, is that we're going to be reviewing these annually. So again, if we start seeing, right now we have very little data behind this. That's one of the collection points based off of your guidance tonight. So we'd be able to say, is 85% correct? Let's talk about that. Maybe 85% isn't the right number. In a year, we'll have more data. We potentially can adjust it. So these are fluid. All right.
Good.
Under goal 2, which council adopted as to ensure financial health and resilience, there are 7 here as well. Looking at property tax revenue should account for at least 55% of total revenue by FY 2028. Again, that's talking through, again, that balance of sales tax revenue and property tax. Again, property tax is something that we can control more than sales tax. A good benchmark from what we've been looking at is at 55%. Right now, I believe, and Julie, are we about like 52, 53%? Yes, so we're below it. We believe we can achieve it, but again, that's a conversation with council. Accuracy of projected cost and capital projects must be within 10% of budget. Again, that's us making sure we're doing our due diligence, that we're not, under budgeting for capital projects. We're being mindful of what we're putting before council. A clean audit opinion with 0 material weaknesses of significant deficiencies annually. Pretty self-explanatory. We want to make sure we're being good with our audits. Tax collection rates to stay above 99% annually. That's based off of a trend that we consistently have been over 99% over the last few years and want to keep it. The next one was a conversation that we had, back and forth with the steering committee. I want to talk about it just briefly. To ensure the budget to actual variance remains at or below 5%. And there was a conversation back and forth about, well, you can probably do that depending on how tight you want to make your budget compared to your actuals. After further consideration, one of the things I would recommend for council is to potentially amend this one, and I've been working with Julie to get back to the crux, which is how do we ensure future progress, right? Where our budgets are really sound moving forward, not just for the current year, but for future. And so one of the things I would recommend now is to say that general fund operating margin does not exceed 85% of the budget. What we mean by that, we looked at trends over the last few years, and it's been around that 85 percentile mark. What that's essentially saying is that 85% of the budget that the general operating fund goes towards day-to-day, year-to-year type expenses. And then that 15% is for future capital as well as unforeseen projects and initiatives. So again, our capital projects, funds, et cetera, if we start to create that number higher than 85, 90, 95%, most of our budget goes towards operating day to day and not being able to plan for future maintenance needs, general upkeep, et cetera. Like I said, deferred maintenance, those types of things. So that's where I'd recommend that consideration from council. But again, that came from that strategic planning committee. The other item that the last two there are available fund balance meets town minimum policy of 70% general fund. That is a town policy. We want to monitor it. And then finally, earning the GFOA Distinguished Budget Award by FY 2030. That's a 5-year plan. That essentially says the budget award from GFOA, by meeting that, essentially says that our budget meets certain criteria of a high-performing organization. We believe that we are a high-performing organization, and this is one method for us to ensure by qualified metrics. Questions?
Would it be abnormal to also put a maximum policy of the general fund expenditures, so that way we don't have too much money?
Again, that's council direction. It's a council policy. I have worked in environments that there is a max and a min. And I would just say one thing to consider is that on one area that I've worked in is a max policy says anything over a certain threshold may automatically be moved to a capital reserve fund potentially in that 1 year to then make sure that's planning for future needs. And then you could have the conversation in future budgets about potentially amending that.
I will put in there that, as council members, we've talked about this in the past, and we don't want to feel like we're put in a situation where we have to just burn money at some point in the year just to get that fund balance down. I don't want to feel like I've got to buy something just to get rid of the money when we know we're going to need it for something significant later on.
Yeah, my recommendation would be if there is a maximum, that it would be identified into another capital, like I said, capital reserve, so that it would be used for those future capital projects.
Gotcha.
But if council is amenable to that, we can bring that forward for a future council discussion. Is it, from my understanding right now, are there any questions from council regarding that potential amendment, that modification for that third from the bottom, changing that one to actually talk about the general operating fund not exceeding 85% of the budget? From a practical perspective, that helps us budget and make sure if we start seeing 87% within the budget, that's a yellow flag. We want you all to be aware of it. Does that make sense?
Makes more sense to do it that way to me. Make a change. Make a change.
All right.
Seems like consistently make a change.
Thank you. Goal 3 is to encourage and cultivate thoughtful use of land. There are 5 here. This is where I believe there may be some good conversation. We want to get council's guidance. Looking at encouraging and cultivating thoughtful use of land. The first one is 10 acres of land preserved as natural land through town preservation program every 3 years. Now, we know that we can't directly influence that. However, we do know that there are opportunities, information, education, et cetera, that we can do to try to achieve that. Same with 20 acres of land preserved as agricultural land through town preservation program every 3 years. Again, we know it's going to take time. Maybe we achieve it, maybe we don't, we may need to adjust. Increase the participation in the VAD or the Voluntary Ag District program with new properties by 5% of the total VAD land acreage within the town of Mills River biennially. So again, every 2 years for that one. The next one is to increase linear feet of publicly available off-road pedestrian facilities in the community by 1,200 linear feet every 3 years. Again, this goes back to the, the current plan right now with the bike pedestrian plan that council has passed, as well as knowing that there's potential for that increased pedestrian, off-road pedestrian facilities with the 191 widening, et cetera. So that's why that is there as well. And then the last, certainly not least, is 10% of new dwelling units with COs annually or not single family, showing increased housing diversity. This goes back to the housing diversity the goal that within the comprehensive plan. So that is why this is here. Again, it's not necessarily stating it's not necessarily stating that we can influence directly what that is, but it's also us being able to keep an eye on what those non-family non-single family dwellings look like. So I'll pause there.
Any questions?
Would the publicly available off-road pedestrian facilities include walking past at the park?
So yes, it would be. It would be if they're off-road, but I'm just going to look at Mike Malachek just to make sure. Yes. So again, if they're off-road pedestrian facilities in the park, that would be counted. So again, that's a great point. Thank you, Councilmember Cantrell. As we expand this property out here, there are walking trails that are potentially going to be a part of it. We hope. Then that'll be counted.
That would also include sidewalks as part of road projects, say
sir.
DOT projects that build sidewalks, multi-use paths, et cetera.
Yes, sir.
I like the sound of that better than I do, the potential for walk and bicycle paths across potentially private property. I just like that version better. I'll just go there. Yeah, some of this we can't control, but it's a goal and we can educate.
Exactly. And if I may, I'm just going to look back at Mr. Malachek here. Last year, our COs, I believe we had about 150, 155, is my memory serving me correctly on that. So again, 10% would be approximately 15. So again, we're not talking about large numbers. Percentage may be large, but from the raw number perspective, when we reviewed it, we're not that large.
Okay.
Goal 4 was fostering recreational opportunities for all ages and abilities. There are multiple here, and not surprisingly, because our park is so important and vital to the community. The first one is increasing the percentage of recreational programs that meet the minimum participation requirement by 5% annually. Again, making sure we're offering what people want to come and be a part of. And then increasing the percentage of resident participations in programs by 5% annually. Again, talking through residential participation specifically. Identifying potential tracts of land of at least 25 acres for future public park amenities within each council district by 2028. This one right here, I just want to point out, we went back and forth and we talked about this quite a bit. This is not to say that the town is looking at buying properties. And at the last visioning meeting, council gave the direction that if parcels of property came available, to bring them forward to council for consideration. What this essentially states is would allow staff to start looking at potential areas and potential opportunities, and then keeping an eye on those opportunities so that if they become available, then council would be able to react to that per what council requested at the time.
On that one, would these be allowed as the UDO as maps are drawn today in these different districts?
So I'm going to have to turn to Mr. Malachek to give me the official answer on that. Again, right now, it would be, they would have to be moving to a conservation element just because of the park piece to it. But Mr. Malachek, do you have? So the item, associated with potential
25
tracts of
acres
land.
Parkland in all the districts potentially. Would that be a possibility with the UDO maps as drawn?
Yeah.
Okay,
There's exemptions in there for governmental.
that I don't agree with.
Yeah, to be happy, but
I don't agree.
And also, it also goes towards a benchmark, which is that, having a certain, potential parks within a certain distance from residents. And so that's why the council district was one element to say potentially allowing, even small parcels of potential, land for use.
Okay.
Public. The next one goes into the community satisfaction and the community satisfaction survey. And I'm excited to announce that we are, hopefully within the next week, rolling out the request for proposals on that per council's direction in the last budget on putting forward a community survey. Once we get that, obviously council is going to be very much involved in the questions that are a part of it and the process. But these are the ones that we are recommending: achieving 90% satisfaction with Mills River Park by 2028, achieving 90% community satisfaction with Parks and Recreation program offerings by FY 2028. Again, giving us time to actually get those results, because we have no idea yet. It could be 99%, it could be 85%, and we have work to do. The next one is achieving the NRPA performance metric of number of residents per park by 2030. Again, it's a 5-year plan. It correlates with the one above, but again, it comes to the conversation of right now we have one park per 7,500. There is a benchmark. That benchmark is a national performance metric, the National Recreation and Parks Association. That it's something that could be direction that council gives us as staff. Again, up to council's determination.
Now, when it says residents, is it Mills River residents?
Yes.
How are we gonna track that?
So it's based off of population.
But how do we know that the activity, you're meaning coming here or just?
No, it's
Or just
Per park.
it's per park.
Oh,
Now it's 7,500 per park. We had 2 parks, it'd be 37.
I see what you're
Yes,
saying.
sir.
That makes perfect sense now.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I got lost in the number.
This is Brett, who heard me do my math.
And as a reminder, when we're talking about parks, a lot of people think about what we're currently sitting in as a park, and parks come in various shapes, sizes, and opportunities as well.
Okay.
So exploring that. Activating a minimum of 20 acres on the park expansion property as identified through the park master plan by 2030. We believe we are going to easily achieve that. Our goal is to activate that property as fast as humanly possible. And I'm excited to say that we're, continuing to work on that in this fiscal year. So we set it at 20 acres. We may need to adjust it as we move forward, but that was we thought an achievable objective. And then last, certainly not least, by 2028, identify all park facilities and amenities requiring universal design upgrades for facilities and achieve at least one upfit. What that essentially says is, right now not all of our park facilities and amenities are ADA compliant. And so this is what guide staff on doing a study on what all the needs are for those universal design upgrades, and then budgeting at least bringing forward to council a budget that has at least one upfit by 2028. And that ultimately gets to that all ages and abilities portion of goal 4. So I'm going to pause here. That was a lot.
Question?
I failed to mention, but the 2 council members that were on the strategic planning committee, and I really appreciate their time and intention on this, is the council member Sandra Good and council member Brian Kimball. And I just so they can also talk from their perspectives as they sat through this already once.
You're doing an outstanding job.
I apologize. You have to hear it a second time. Goal 5 is to enhance community development. So there are 6 elements here. Most of them deal with some type of, some type of percentile, 90% of residents that are satisfied with their quality of life. That's a big question There's a lot of ways people can answer it. It's a community survey question though, for about how they feel about the community and their quality of life. 5% increase in annual small business registrations. Again, looking at small businesses as an opportunity within the town, working with our partners to identify that. 100% of town maintained roads at 80 PCI or above. Right now, we have about a half a mile of town maintained roads. So keeping it 80%. 80 PCI is the is pavement conditioning index. That is that's a benchmark number to basically say the roads are in good condition. 85% of residents are satisfied with traffic conditions in Mills River. 85% of residents satisfied with overall road conditions. And then 80% or more of residents positively respond to the statement, "I value the rich history of Mills River." So these 6 came again from multiple discussions about how we can help to achieve enhancing community development. Questions? And I'll just quickly say, we know that as the town of Mills River, we cannot directly impact these, but what a lot of these also state is how we can work with our partners to identify solutions for them as well.
What's PCI?
I'm sorry?
Performance,
Pavement conditions and conditioning index.
So 0 potholes on this road.
It's a report them potholes frequently.
On the
Pavement
town
condition.
street.
Yeah.
DOT's different. They all together.
Throughout the whole town, we can fix the whole town.
However, I will say if we see that number down as town staff, what we would do is that we would be reaching out to NCDOT and start looking at actual on ways that we could help to get those numbers up, which would be improving road structure. So that, again, that's how we would use this data.
But that's town roads. If you
Oh,
see,
for the PCI, yes, sir. I
if
apologize.
you see an issue with the NCDOT road, please contact them. They'll get out and fix it. They are also tracking their numbers, so. Let
Yes.
us know.
Absolutely. Thank you for that clarification. I meant more on the satisfaction with roads. Thank you, sir. Goal 6, last but certainly not least, is upholding excellence in community safety. A lot of this relies on our public safety partners, specifically Mills River Fire and Rescue, as well as the Sheriff's Department. So the first one is reducing traffic incidents by 5% by 2030. The reason why 2030 for a lot of these is because we know we have to work hard to get, we're going to be working with our partners to collect this data to see what these incidents are. And so 5% may be correct. It may be too low. Over the next year we're going to be working with them to get that data, and then we'll again bring it forward. The next 2 are benchmarks, 90th percentiles. The first one is 90th percentile response time for first unit arrival for fire apparatus by 2030. The second one, first unit arrival for sheriff's office by 2030. Some may be asking why 90th percentile and not the average. The reason why is 5 times out of 10, you don't want to know when when they're going to be showing up on a time. In case of an emergency, you want that first unit arrival there as fast as possible. So you want to know 9 times out of 10 when they're going to be getting there. And so we've been working with them on getting that data as well. The next one, state mandated fire inspections completed as a percentage of inspections due must be at 90% or greater. Again, working with the fire marshal to make sure that we're meeting state mandated minimums. The goal is 100%. The goal is always 100%. Right now, because we know that they're working hard on getting that up, we're starting at 90%, seeing what the data is, and then moving forward. The next one is 90% of community members feel safe. This is a community survey question that I'm going to recommend. And then finally, the part 1 property crimes reported per 1,000 population should be less than 7%. And I want to make sure that I mention all of those part 1 property crimes just because dealing with burglary, larceny, theft, motor vehicles, and arson. So others may, you may say, why not others? That's because when, at least at minimum right now, if we see that, we need to have some major conversations about how we're going to be looking at enforcement and strategies with our sheriff's office partners.
So, and I've asked this at TAC, I've asked this at MPO, when reduced traffic incidents by 5%, is there a scale, and nobody can answer this, on the more traffic you have? you're ultimately gonna have more incidents.
Hmm.
You know? So if 20,000 vehicles travel 191 in 2026 on a daily basis.
Hmm.
But in 2030, we've got 28,000 traveling. Are we, how, what does that 5% look like? Is it 5% of the total amount it's traveled? Can you help me, Jeff?
Yeah, my bride's looking at me like I know.
Okay,
Here it
I hope you
goes.
do. I'd love to
Somebody
hear-
put a quarter in him. He's gonna play the song.
Okay,
Okay, so the way NCDOT measures it is 100 million vehicle miles traveled, which sounds like an astronomical number, and it kind of is. When you think about all the cars on the roads, 100 million miles divided, it's a reasonable. So I would say this is based on if you have 25 incidents per 100 million vehicle miles, and you can reduce that to, say 20, 24, 23, then you've hit the 5%.
but is
So
there a
something like
factor in
that.
there for?
That's your factor. So as the number of vehicles go up, the 100 million vehicle miles traveled stays the same because it's all divided out.
My problem with
make sense?
that, no, my problem with that is the traffic congestion is thicker with more, so it creates more of an issue.
Creates more conflicts, and that's why smart road design,
Okay,
where the engineers, DOT and their contractors look at ways to reduce accidents. And you see these safety products or projects all across the state. You'll see roundabouts going in places. You'll see a traffic signal will go in, or an additional phase to a signal in that protected left turn lane. Things like that are put in to help reduce those traffic incidents. And that's tracked. The MPO, one of their charges is to track that. And so, here in Mills River, what impact do we have on that? No, we've only got a half-mile roadway. It's not that. It's working with the DOT partners and giving support to certain projects that will help reduce those incidents and alerting them of a problem. If we know of something, we talk to them and have that line of communication. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because we're all working together. We've got the same customers the DOT has. Our residents drive on their roads. We have to.
And thank you, Councilmember.
Sure.
I appreciate that. The only other thing I'll add is that, again, it's a noble effort to try, especially through our indirect efforts, to reduce traffic incidents by 5%. Again, after a year or two, again, this is by 2030, we may have to look at whether or not 5% is the correct number. It may be that, no one, in my experience, no one wants to see that, increase traffic incidents by less than 3%. Also, it's a hard sell. We always want to create less, and do our best to try to reduce traffic incidences. However, trend data may say that, to your point, Mr. Mayor, if there's, if we're seeing that trend going up quickly, then if the data says that, then maybe we need to adjust this to say, how can we actually try to reduce that number that's increasing?
yes,
And that's something we can look at.
okay,
And that may involve working with the DOT to lower speed limits in some places. We all
Yeah.
can think of a road we wish had a lower speed limit. We can probably all think of a road we wish we had a higher speed limit on when we're trying to get to work. But really, what is the safety issue
Right.
there? And keeping the roads open, keeping the side distances open. Don't
Yeah.
put signs in the curbs where, places where they block side distance, things like that.
Any other questions about this goal or any other goals at this time?
so
Oh, yes, sir.
at this point, you're looking for a motion to move this forward?
Yes, sir. So that's the request. If council gives us guidance and what I've heard as amended from that second goal, then this will help guide staff on putting together your next budget and then the next budget for the next 3 to 5 years.
I'd entertain a motion.
Was the steering committee or the committee amenable?
Your
That's what
product,
they-
right?
That's what.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, how much change was there? Was there?
Along the way, was there some change in it?
Well, I say that each one of these goals, usually we discuss for probably about an hour. in two groups and we analyzed probably every word for about 15 minutes.
How many hours you think you got on this section?
In our committee, probably, we spent a whole day on it, just in this one section. And then after we do it, it goes back to the DSG, which is another committee of Matt and the employees, and they spend probably a whole day on it as well. But
Yeah,
I mean,
over the life of this, there have been countless hours from staff to try to meet the steering committees, the strategic planning committee's guidance before it came before you today. Now, to Councilmember Kimball's point, this came before the committee. There was a robust discussion around each and every item, in my opinion, and then there were questions. And we tried to answer them as best as we could. The one major change that came forward was again around that budget to actual variance. We took that, I took that back, and I, again, working with our subject matter expert, Julie, our finance director in the back, we talked through a potentially better objective, which is why you had that amended version tonight.
Does generally most municipalities have one of these?
A strategic plan as robust as what you have before you? No, sir.
That's what I'm getting at, because how long you plan on staying with me?
I'm planning on staying with you and as far as I can.
Because the reason I
Till
say
death
that-
do we part.
Yes, sir.
Well,
So when it's time to
Yes.
go,
I mean,
I
if
picked
what-
Mills River to stay in Mills River. Yes, sir.
reason I say that, Matt, is I might have had one manager in the past that would have took this and went on with it. And this could potentially be a hard thing. I'm not saying we're not going to move forward with it, but I just want the council to understand that as good as this may be and all the data we're going to achieve from it, I'm afraid that when you leave and your desire to the love of this, next manager might not feel like, you see what I'm saying? I mean, I'm just telling you, I just think another manager could come in here and kick this to the curb and move on with something else. But
this is.
and that's,
council-
go ahead. That's
this
where I
is
was
a
going with.
Council.
Yeah.
Program.
uh-huh.
The council is saying, these are our objectives.
Okay.
So no matter who is in your seat, and hopefully it's you, knows that if you're gonna please council, you're gonna follow these objectives. And if we start seeing a high turnover of staff, we're gonna wanna know why. And, hopefully we'll have no turnover.
Yeah.
But those types of things.
Thank you both. If I may just quickly say, as a reminder, this item was put before council within the budget and as a part of that discussion prior to my time joining here as a council direction. So
Cool.
it's been a privilege to help see council's direction through to this point. And I'm excited to activate it and make it into an actionable document for council.
This document is also a living document.
Yes.
It grows as we go,
Mm.
and there's accountability in here, and there's safety guardrails in here.
Oh, I know. I get it. I know it's just could be a hard
Mhm.
find. Sure. Moving forward.
As long as we're excited about it,
Sure.
staff's gonna be excited about it.
Sure.
So it's our vision as well, without a vision,
I get it.
perish,
Okay,
right?
okay.
So.
And it's on our due diligence to make sure as we leave, that we make sure the people coming behind us are educated that this is a path to follow. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Looking for a motion.
So I make a motion to adopt the Mills River 2030 strategic plan objectives as presented. Well, with the modification, sorry, as discussed.
All right, and then I need a second.
I'll say.
Sandra second. All right, any more discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none.
Thank you. If I may, just to finish this presentation, I promised I was going to talk through what those action items
Yeah.
are. I'll be very, very brief on these. Now that we have that direction from council, and I do appreciate that, staff will begin working again, starting tomorrow morning. We're going to start having conversations about how to, what projects and initiatives we need to start thinking through to bring forward to council at your upcoming visioning, statement. As an example, just orient yourself to what what you may see. Just pick one here for attract, retain, and cultivate an engaged workforce. 85% or more of staff who say they intend to stay in the organization, if that's the objective. Here are 3 potential options, again, in this example that we could explore. Exploring a flexible work schedule policy or implementing a biennial benefits survey to identify potential improvements or increase team building activities to 2 events per year for the next year to see if there are any potential benefits. That's how we're going to be using the objectives that council has pushed forward to help guide us on achieving those elements. I also mentioned briefly about the performance strategy sessions. We've already started to do this. There was a method to my madness when I requested to have quarterly updates to council with our major projects and initiatives. Now those projects and initiatives are going to be aligned to goals and objectives. And so again, quarterly, council will be receiving an update to how we're doing in that progress. But when we're talking specifically about the strategy sessions, again, in my role, be leading that quarterly. I'll be meeting with objective leads on how we're doing, where we need to make adjustments, preparing that then for councils to consume at an upcoming meeting. And then biannually, we'll bring the entire staff in to be able to have a conversation about successes and areas for improvement. And then again, it gets into a little bit more detail about how we're going to be organizing those internal meetings as well. So that again is how we're going to be for staff internally, how we're going to be looking at it. These are intense, long conversations that are necessary to make sure we're achieving our objectives. Make sure that when council sees them, that you know that we are thinking thoughtfully about how we're going to achieve those goals and objectives. And then finally, there's a big element in here about performance management, really asking the questions, how are we going to achieve them? How are we going to measure progress, et cetera? By doing so, that's what those meetings are going to be about, is making sure that we're collecting data that's necessary to be able to help achieve those goals and objectives. And ultimately, by analyzing that data, which is the bottom left-hand corner, it's going to be helping us as staff and then ultimately helping council to set direction for staff through the budgeting process and otherwise to make decisions and take actions. And then, as I mentioned, annually, we're going to come back and look at this and say, did we make progress or not? Do we need to make adjustments? This is a little bit more about why it's important. I know you all have heard me talk about this ad nauseum, but really it's about efficiency, effectiveness, service delivery, quality, et cetera. At the end of the day, we serve at the pleasure of council, and we serve the community at large. And our goal is to make sure that we are providing the utmost quality, the most efficient and effective way we can, because we are using taxpayer funds to do the work of the community. And finally, at the end of the day, by following this in a perfect world, and our job is to make sure that we achieve this, is that by going through these steps and ultimately the service delivery that we provide to the community, we should see a quality of life increase. Again, going back to that last, one of those questions is asking quality of life questions to the community through the community survey, being able to check our progress. I'm going to skip through this just for time purposes as well. Ultimately, what this is saying is that these items, it's around creating a culture within the organization. That's my job. It's the job of every staff member to make sure it is non-punitive. This is about learning. This is about growing, collaborating, and ultimately achieving council's vision. Last but certainly not least, I just want to thank again everybody who's involved in it, from staff level. Every staff member touched this multiple times. Council again multiple times, advisory boards, et cetera. It's been a long process, countless hours, and I just want to thank you all for your trust in this process.
All right. Any other businesses? Don't got anything? I want to throw in something here. I want council and I want the staff to be looking into possible council pay raises.
Yes.
It's a bad thing to talk about. When I knew I was gonna go out with this surgery, my goal was as soon as I got settled in good, I was gonna spend a little time going through all my emails and looking at all the events that I'm supposed to be at or could be at, and how much time that would take, you know, of the evening during the day. And just for instance, next week, I'm supposed to be at 5 different events for the town of Mills River. But I've still got to work and make a living, you know. It pays $6,000 to sit in this seat. And I've got a lot of responsibilities. There was one day I got 57 phone calls about the UDO. 57. Now, when I got the blood clot, I couldn't concentrate and keep writing them down. But in the month of November, I could have been, let me say I could have been to 37 different events to represent the town of Mills River. So I'm not really doing this town justice, but I don't have the ability. That's one reason I'm stepping aside. But whoever's coming on to this, I feel like if they're going to represent the town of Mills River, and when I get to go, all the others are there. I don't know what they're getting paid. I don't know if it's a passion of theirs. I don't know. A lot of them are retired. They might have a, 401k they're working out of, or a pension plan. I don't know. But for somebody my age to be in this seat, I don't feel that the pay is just for what I have to do. And it don't matter to me. I've got one more year left, but I'm just saying for the town of Mills River, and I had to go on to get a pay started, I had to have this speech one time. We couldn't get anybody to run for the seats. And they said, well, why? I said, well, it's not even like it's a real job. It's a volunteer thing. You got to pay somebody for it to be a job. Other than that, it's a volunteer. So that opened their eyes and they started paying a little. But I just think you as a manager should reach out, kind of get a feel for where some of the others are, but and feel free to go into my email and look and see where all the places I could be representing the town of Mills River. And I feel like it's not getting due just. And we'd learn a lot and we could bring a lot back to the table here to discuss. I've got certain meetings I have to go to, MPO, TAC, these meetings, whatever else. I've got to go to those, LGCCA. I've got to be there. Some we host. But I just think that needs some consideration with the new council moving forward. Okay?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. I'll mention the council salary study is on the projects and initiatives list. And I believe it's slated for the next 6 months for this fiscal year
Okay.
as well. I'm going to go back. I'll confirm that and
Okay.
we can escalate that.
That's fine. All right, anything else?
I would like to see, if we're on future business.
Yeah.
I would like to see us, at the next meeting or two, look at leasing our ag lease for next year. What we're not gonna work on be in a ag lease, so it doesn't turn out to be briars. There is like genuinely good things that can happen with a soybean crop out there. So that way we don't have to deal with
Later.
that. I know there's no money in leasing it, but with that being scraped clean, that's gonna be a weed patch quick. But I know that in the bottom, we maybe want to do a trail and stuff, but there's 80 acres. I would just like to put that on the agenda for discussion
But that'll kind of have to happen quicker than you might think, because whoever's might go in there would need to get in there, get the ground prepped and ready, maybe lime it, maybe fertilize it prior to planting in April or May. So that would kind of have to be ramped up at some point, probably February, early March. Okay.
We can do that.
Yeah.
Is there wheat? There's wheat down there. Is that the farmer's crop now? Did that lease expire on December 31st or?
Yeah, so and I would have to go back and absolutely confirm, and maybe Julie may know off the top of her head that the crop itself was I believe it was a soybean crop that was down there. And I believe that the lease had ended, but
I thought we put a stipulation that it had to have a cover crop on it.
He probably did plant that as the cover crop.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what my guess is.
If we could look it up.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We'll confirm that. I just don't know off the top of my head.
Okay, anything else? If not, I have a motion to adjourn our regular meeting.
So make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Just a second, any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? No. All right, let's roll
Take
right.
a short break unless this is gonna go pretty fast.
Oh, no, this ain't going fast.
Somebody, go we'll take a 5 minutes because I've got to be at work early in the morning, but
I gotta be at work.
If
5
y'all
minutes.
can,
Kevin's ready. All right, we'll get our, we need a motion to go into our regular, business meeting for the night. If somebody do that for me.
I'll make a motion. Oh, go ahead, James.
You got it. Go ahead.
Sandra made a motion, put us in.
Second.
Brian second, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, business meeting A, the nuisance ordinance review.
So this is really council's item. There was a request to bring this back as a discussion item. As you know, council had some discussions about the nuisance ordinance, I believe September and October. And then the planning board's been doing an in-depth review of it the last few months. But again, this is back on the agenda as discussion item, so.
All right, I brought it up. I'll get it started here. My biggest beef with this is I think I feel we need some differences between the commercial properties and the residential. I mean, if we got a tire store, we got to assume there's going to be some tires outside. Is there a certain amount of tires? Do they need to be stacked a certain way or whatever? I understand that too. But and if you got a auto repair business, you're going to assume there's going to be several cars outside on the property incapacitated for various reasons. Some of which they got them took apart. They can't get the part in a reasonable amount of time. I even went to Sunshine Chevrolet. I asked them, I said, how many cars do you have here at this dealership under repair that's been here for over 60 days? He said, our average is eight that stay here 60 plus days. And it's due from not being able to get factory parts. You go to some of these other local places and they ask the question, and it's simply because once they get into it, the customer realizes they're having to weigh between, is the vehicle good enough to save? Because the cost of the repair is close to the value of the car. So it might sit there for several months while they're trying to make that decision, or they're going to do it. They're just waiting on to get, $3,700 together to get a transmission or a rear end or whatever it is. And I'm sure that's just two examples. And I might be thinking outside the box. So if you say none of that applies, then I'll take that. But I just know what we've dealt with here in the past with scrap metal at a truck repair shop and stuff like that. I think we need to show some lenience in that. It's in a pile, it gets hauled off, it comes back, it gets hauled off, it gets brought back, and the tires do the same. I went to Smith Family Tire. They bought $21,000 worth of enclosed trailers to keep the tires in. I mean, that's a business. That is a business burden, I feel, for them to have to encapsulate those tires at a tire store. I mean, if we're talking about rural, we got to accept some of this as being rural. I mean, we protect these farmers with all due everything. But who's to say eventually somebody's going to get onto these smells and stuff? And this council may not be sitting here and another council sitting here and saying, well, I guess we're going to have to get rid of the cows. They're the one making the smell. But I would like to set some precedents here and just have some understanding that we're going to have a little bit of, I'd like to say common sense approach to this. And but it's just one of me saying this, but a lot of these things are sitting on multi-acre tracts that people would have to trespass to see. I've actually went and physically visited these sites to see what's going on. And unless you pulled up in there in one of the town vehicles, you had either, and had permission, because you do, these people that's actually filing these nuisances on some cases would have had to trespass to see to even wrote it down. And the bad thing about it is some of these people writing this stuff down and calling these people in, go right back in there without disclosure and get their stuff fixed, because that's the cheapest guy in town. And you know why he's the cheapest guy in town? Because he don't have to hide his metal, and he wasn't hiding his tires. And that's why I'm just trying to reason with it all. And I'm getting multiple phone calls and I'm hearing what y'all are hearing daily. And I just want to see if there's any common ground on rectifying a little bit of this. And if not, it's not, but that's what I'd like to see happen. And I'd love to hear council's opinion on it. And if you, and feel free to call me crazy. I don't care. I take it with, I won't at all.
I understand that businesses need to operate. And I understand that it takes material, room, and time to operate. When I think of a nuisance, it affects multi people. And an example I can pull out of the top of my head right now is during normal circumstances, the stump dump was not a problem. Um, we flooded, the hurricane, the debris and everything, and people couldn't go out and buy mulch then. The soil wasn't ready, nothing was ready, and they built up big on the back end with the debris. And they grind it and tried to get it ready and built a mountain. Well, wasn't a problem till it caught on fire. And we're over probably 90 days into it now. And my phone rings nonstop. I go somewhere. I go to the Ingles. I smell it. I don't know if they'll ever get that smell out of Ingles.
I understand.
They've had to shut down business. To me, that's a nuisance. But, a business operating and not affecting the town, they need to be able to, we need industry, we need business.
And some of these are just like mom and pop places I'm talking about. It ain't
Right.
like it's a big industry. It don't have the big checkbooks. It don't have the, honestly, what I hate to see here is like, you take John Dean, for instance. He told me to feel free to use his name. He moved out of the town of Mills River because of it. Because that he had got rode up because of where he had parked a concrete pump in front of his business. But where he sits there, it was no good other place to put it. So other than listen to it and argue it, he moved to Transylvania County. He still owns the building, leases them out, but he moved up there. But there's one example is we lost one of our resources. And honestly, this is how bad it plays. And y'all need to know this because he told me, he said, listen, he said, with all that park stuff and all down there, I could have saved y'all a ton of money potentially on engineering a bunch of that. Give some time, give this. But he said, I wouldn't touch a thing now because of it, because I just felt like I was just done unjust. I was just here trying to make a living, keep my boys busy, and so on and so forth. And that's just his reaction to it. And Phil Weber has much the same feeling about it, as how this is going. And,
Well, those agricultural people got the same feelings going on.
yeah,
I mean, they some come to the Board of Adjustment meeting that I watched and said they were looking at, buying land here in Mills River and starting to have their agricultural business here in Mills River. And the way it's going, they didn't. They went somewhere else.
yeah. But I just want to make sure that if the five of us are on board with what we got and we want to leave it as is, so be it. But if we want to make a few adjustments, the planning board, I kicked it back to the planning board to let it go through its cycle and come back to us with their recommendation. They took it on and I got a letter saying that they didn't feel like they had time to deal with it right now with the UDO, which is understandable. And to be honest with you, there's getting a lot of pressure from the people at the podium. I talked to Matt about it. I told Matt, the staff gets paid well to listen to it. They get paid well to listen to all this. That's their job. And they do a great job doing that. And as far as the volunteers go, if they're having a problem with it, then they either need to step off or we need to replace them. Because especially if the mayor puts you out of task, be it me or whatever mayor, you would almost think that that would take precedence, that you would never get a letter saying, we're not going to deal with that. You know, we're going to kick that down the curb. And that's what I felt. I mean, when I got it and I read it, I said, okay. And then Kimball brought it up. We can deal with this. We can handle this. So that's why I'm here tonight. I'm just asking, can we adjust it in some way to accommodate this handful that we've got left? And that's really all we've got, people. If you ride around, we've only got 2 or 3 mechanic wire shops left. We got a tire store or 2 here and there. We've got a few odd and end businesses. But if we could accommodate them to keep them, they're our resources. That's where we go to get our stuff done. We don't go anywhere else. We go to these people. We want to
You
use
got
them.
some really good people around.
Yeah. And I mean, there's all here tonight. A lot of them. I mean, in mom and pop littles, I've seen them, but they're gone now.
And
I don't
there's,
want to be a homeowners association.
No.
If somebody wants to live in a development that has a homeowners association, y'all do that yourselves. I don't think the town needs to be in that business. I think that, staff's doing a great job. You all deal with your ordinances as they're written. We have a problem with that. We need to change
It's on us.
it
Yeah.
on us. And I think I'd be more than happy to, spend more time on this, even if we have a work session or
Yeah, I
something.
don't think we can do any of it tonight, but I
No.
think here in the near future, we need to, even if we have a workshop just on this.
I don't care if somebody's got a project car in their yard, especially if they've got 20 acres and it's out behind the house. It's none of my business.
That's the rural mentality of Mills River, the way it's always been.
That's what I grew up in. That's kind of like, I like to keep some of that. Agriculture, keep it safe. If you gotta run your tractor at night, run your tractor at night. That's not a nuisance. Now, I would complain about some of the music I hear blasted down the valley that gets stuck in your head. Didn't like it when the original group sung it. But, that's another thing there. So, yeah, I would like to spend some time on it when we have time, and if it means coming in on. As far as what we've got now and how we pursue that, I don't know that we have the ability to say, don't enforce it,
No,
but I don't know, but
that ain't right either. I mean, don't go
I mean,
looking
there are
for it,
some
but if you
things
get
that need to be-
complaints,
as far as complaints go, if the ability to leave an anonymous complaint goes away, I mean, it's when you see something, it's enough that you want to make a complaint, but you really don't want the neighbors to come after you.
the problem we're running into with that is this federal law that they've got the right to know who's doing it. And if it comes in unanimous or anonymous, guess who it gets back to? It's either the head or one of the other field guys. And I hate it for it to land on them all the time.
Right, we don't want to land.
I mean, the Mills River people, like I told you, you can go knock on their door and a lot of times you can work it out. But if they're man enough to not like it, but not go talk to them at their door, they at least need to be able to put their name down on a piece of paper, as bad as I hate to say it. It's sad, but I think if we just adjust a few things here, a lot of that'll soften up. Cause if we tell these people and I ain't gonna say it's people that's moved in here, it might be some locals doing it. We, I know how it is. But if we draft this language up and we don't adjust on it or either way, make it stiffer or lighter, some things might need to be stiffened up in it. But if we don't, it gives everybody the impression, well, as soon as, he's got 15 people in his driveway. Well, I can't do a damn thing about that. But that old tractor tire out there, he'll get rid of that next week. Watch this. And I don't want that to get started in Mills River. I just don't want it to get started in Mills River. And I'm afraid that's the way we're headed here.
We need to be careful with that about it too.
What do you pick?
The UDA.
Oh, I know. I understand that too.
I mean, there's a lot of it don't fit Mills River.
I understand. And we're going to have to work through it. And we're going to get into some chapters here in a minute. But would it be y'all's blessing? I mean, nothing here is a motion item on this business meeting, but could we try to figure out a time slot that we could work this in the next month or two? And just maybe just take a section of it and work on whatever it looks like, whatever it is. And I don't know that staff can really prep us anything unless they kind of got a feeling for where we're headed with this.
I mean, to be honest, for me, I mean, to me, I think the biggest issue that we're seeing is that the biggest issue is mixed use. This is a problem that was created by mixed use.
Well, not really.
It is
Okay.
because it's businesses operating in residential areas.
Shit was up through there before we even become a town, dude.
It was, but you have people who, we're a municipality,
Yeah.
whether we like it or not.
Right.
The people of Mills River didn't want to be controlled by a municipality, Asheville or Fletcher or whatever.
Mhm.
So they said, hey, we don't want to be controlled by municipality, so we're going to create a municipality to tell us what to do. That's what we did, which was stupid.
Mhm.
All right. So now we have a municipality that's telling us what to do, which is us. And we don't like the rules that we've created. Well, tough. Okay, we're a professional town now. And the problem with our code enforcement is in the past, we haven't done it. Now we're a professional town, we're moving that direction and we're starting to enforce it. Well, so now we're getting pushback. Well, and I understand we have to adjust it and we should make adjustments. I agree with you. It's not perfect. We should make adjustments. And I'm willing to look at it, but at the same point in time, I mean, let's start with, I think staff can prep us on this, ask Michael does this every day. Ask him, hey, if you had to make 3 changes, what would you recommend
That's
us?
fair enough.
And what really aggravates me about this whole conversation is this has been enforced. We've been doing this for, was it 21 is when it passed, 20, 21, 19, somewhere around there. We've been doing this for 5 years and it's always the same story. And I can point out cases and I don't want to do this. Some people get enforced and nobody says anything. Some people get enforced and they make a big deal about it. And depending on who it is in Mills River, then that's when it's a big deal. And that has to stop. It's not the good old boy system anymore. It doesn't matter who you are. Hold on. It doesn't matter who you are, of whether or not you get say so. And that's what's happened in the past. I'm not saying that's what's happening now. I'm saying that's what's happened in the past. And that has to stop. Nobody, who it is, where it's at, that shouldn't matter. It should be, are you following the rules or not? Because if you follow the rules every time, all the time, then it's fair to everyone in the town of Mills River. And that's the way you have to do it. That's the way code enforcement works. That's the way that all the land use things should work.
What's the definition of a professional town?
One that actually doesn't dictate what they do by who you are, what your name is, what your last name is.
Well, what they're looking at now, though, is the difference between residential and business.
But we've enforced the rules on other businesses and nobody said anything.
But they didn't come forward. If we
Right.
hadn't
So one
made-
does, and now it's all of a sudden, it's like, well, we got to change everything.
Others have packed up and left. We're trying to keep that
Yeah,
from
I
happening.
mean,
That happens every day. If I could move out of the city of Hendersonville, I would.
So is the city of Hendersonville, you consider them a professional city?
Do I consider? Yes, because they
How
enforce
about-
the same
how about the
rules.
City of Asheville.
They enforce the same rules.
Well, as soon as you go out 191 and you go off, there's stacks of tires there that the Mexican sells. As soon as you go out Airport Road, they're there.
Right.
I mean, we use all these other towns as we draw in their ideas and it's okay there, but it ain't okay in Mills River. to do the same
I'm not
thing.
talking about the way that a town is ran has nothing to do with whether there's tires in a yard.
Well, that's the only thing I'm really harping about is that.
And I didn't say we couldn't change it. I told you just a minute ago, I agree with what you're saying. We should
Okay,
change some
okay.
things. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is depending on who's complaining about a complaint shouldn't dictate how we respond as a council. What I'm much more upset about is when people get up here and attack staff. That's another thing that really got me fired up tonight is when they come in here and they attack them personally and nobody stands up here and says anything like stop, or when or even one night you got on a tirade about staff. That shouldn't have happened. I know you apologized.
No, but let me ask you.
That should not happen.
If you tell
they're
them,
doing-
if the city of Hendersonville comes to your business
Right.
and they fine you for something. And you
Right.
said, that's fine. You can talk to me or my dad about this.
Right.
And then they come back a few weeks later and they just get one of the guys in the back to sign off on something. Are you gonna be all right with that, sir?
It
could
depends.
put you, well, hell depends. Tell me what that depends is.
It depends on what the story
Especially
is.
if you've already, huh?
It depend. Is that what happened?
Exactly what happened. He's got the signed signature on the paper from where Junior signed it, and they told him to leave it, not to let him be involved in that.
But that's
Decision
an issue that we handle. We don't handle that out in public. We don't sit here and criticize staff in front of everybody. That's an issue that's handled. But do you handle a problem with your staff in front of your customer?
A lot of times I have to because they've created.
Then I don't do, that's
well,
not
they've
professional.
created.
In my opinion, that's not professional. That's not the way I operate.
Like you take, for instance, I was out for a month with this and I go and I have to fix all these problems and I've got the customers sitting there saying, turn these stairs the other way. My guys say, okay, we turn it the other way. They don't call me. So when I go over, I said, who made the decision to turn these stairs the other way? You don't have enough headroom now. This will never pass code. Well, that's what he wanted. Well, then I get him out there. Are you okay with this? Because this is not going to pass code. Well, he's not going to pay for it. You think I'm not going to rip him a new one?
In front of your customer?
Absolutely.
I would
Because
never do that.
Well, that's the difference. between
There's that
me and him.
85% staff satisfaction rate. So,
Well, that kind of staff, I'm afraid you're going, you
Yeah,
know,
I'm-
like he's
I'm
gone.
just-
I mean, I've done got
I'm
rid of
just
him.
trying to bring some,
I created that and fixed that.
so yes and yes. Yes and yes, you're both right. We should look at this. We should address it. We should try to make it fair. We should try to keep Mills River in mind. And we do have a wonderful staff. And yeah, I did not like hearing our staff. I wasn't sure how to address that. I apologize for not jumping up. I just felt like once that one went off the rails, I gave it the attention it deserved. As far as the situation that y'all are talking about, I don't know anything about it. I have papers in front of me, but they haven't been verified. So I don't know anything about that. I will say staff's doing the best they can. I have full confidence in them. I don't think anyone's out to.
And remember, guys, that, you know, when I bring this up, it's costing these people money to do this. But when it's on a complaint driven basis, you know, they could easily turn around and be a bad guy and go report the other people. And they're trying not to get that started either because they know what kind of burden and timeline they was put on.
But we don't want a police state where our staff goes. around
True,
looking.
exactly. I'm with you
And
100%.
Staff doesn't want to do that. That's what, stuff not getting done when they're out doing that.
Yeah.
And so unfortunately, in most government agencies are complaint driven. If no one ever complains, nothing's ever needed to be done. We don't know about it. So, yeah. I don't want to see.
And I'll be honest with you, if the four of you see it the other way, there's no use to move further with this because I'm only going to be here another year. I can answer the phone calls and talk to them and listen to them and be their friend or their enemy, either one. But if y'all don't think it needs to be changed, it's going to be left to you guys anyway. I'm a straight shooter. Okay, you know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, I mean, what,
They need to look at it, make sure that it's
Yeah.
reasonable and it's Mills River values. It's
and
not
then,
gonna
and
be
then
city
saying that, you know, I noticed in some of the other meetings before they kicked it to the curb, they was talking about some grass heights and all this. So I don't know if that's a fit for Mills River either right now. So let's try to, when I brought all that up, I really just wanted this little bit that I'm talking about tonight looked into and not take a full overall sweep of that thing. And
Well, I mean, staff does what they
yeah,
should by looking at other ordinances and pulling something together and saying, okay, here's where we're starting from. It's not where we're gonna end up. One of those things, there are towns that if your grass gets too long, you gotta cut it, you get a ticket. That's not where we need. I got a wife to tell me that. I don't need the town,
right.
but, if it's something that's safety related or
Yeah.
really damages property values, maybe it's something that needs to be looked at. But
And we've run into that before where we got no one to really put it to, you know, the people's deceased, nobody left it to, it was paid for. We've had a couple instances of that and it's just growing up and we couldn't we didn't have a method, so maybe we could look into something like that, but,
Staff is always very willing to work with someone.
oh, yeah.
It's when,
Oh, yeah,
when they
definitely.
get off my property, what can they do? You can't work with that.
No, I was even telling some of the complainants that, your timeline is a timeline, but they will work with you. I promise you. I've got no doubt in that. And they just took it on to go ahead and just get it all done.
Like
get
Brian
it off
says,
of-
we're a town now. I mean, we got certain things that we have to do because we're a town. But, we certainly work with people. And sometimes people can't afford to clean up like they should. They would love to have it clean indeed if they could, or health problems. They would love to have the prettiest place on the block, but can't always have that. So
I agree.
now, if you move next to somebody with a car in the yard, don't complain about the car in the yard. That's a conversation for 3 years when votes come around again.
Well, y'all discuss it individually with Matt, see where you want to go with this. If it ends up landing somewhere for discussion again and maybe some movement in it, we'll do that. But that's all I can ask for. But I will say that, you're talking about being a professional town now. You said that. You give one of your advisory boards something to do and you get an email in a month and a half later, we're not going to fool this. We're going to kick it down the road. You kind of, once again, we're kind of not to that professional stage just yet. I don't think. I think we're still building. We're 20 years into this. He alone has brought some of the most professionalism with Malachek. Malachek's what we had before. I'm just a straight shooter. We never had a manager till you come along. He was our go-to guy always, straight up. Kevin's just come on board. I'm sure he's getting him headed in the right direction. But like his strategic planning, that's what worries me, Matt. It's going to be a great thing as long as the council can pick the next guy that precedes you to move it forward and keep tracking it and all that. We got to have that passion. But, anytime I need anything before, I usually stop at his office and see if he couldn't give me the answer, because I knew when I went around the corner is, what do you want? What do you want it to be? And I need to know what was real and what wasn't real.
And, in defense of the planning board, I do think that they felt like it was gumming up the works of the UDO.
I'm sure.
And, the UDO is a one-time shot.
Yeah.
And I know there's people that hate the sound of it, but if we don't get that, we're not going to get it. And again, one more time, catchphrase, imagine Mills River. Imagine Mills River if we don't. So,
and we got
yeah.
a lot of work to do on that. I don't know how much your phone's busting up at the seams like mine is, but you think this nuisance ordinance is a problem? The UDO is stirring the pot big time. So we're getting ready to get into that. So I would like to, first we can, to move on from this nuisance ordinance and y'all talk to Matt individually on your monthly meetings or whenever and see feel for what you think might need to be tweaked in it or whatever. And Malachek can throw in something if he thinks it could be tweaked. Kevin, he can throw in whatever he thinks could be tweaked in it with reasonable. And if it needs to be left alone, we'll leave it alone. If not, we'll adjust on it. So
I would be okay with scheduling a round table for us to sit down and have an open discussion and deal with it.
we all have to
And
figure out when.
they could be there, put in. It'll just be a round table discussion and
Let's put it out a few weeks.
Yeah.
that would move it
Use all
along.
my time.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. So.
I'm with you.
Well, as long as we go of an evening, I'm okay.
I think we're gonna deal with this in an evening. I was on the planning board, but this took a while.
But if we
But
don't,
we're not-
let's don't dig into it too deep.
We're
Most
not
of it is-
dissecting it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think if
See what we wanna add, or I'm a little confused.
So why don't we let Matt and them come back with a couple of recommend tweaks? Because I think they know the general gist of what we're asking. And maybe send it to Matt and Matt can send it as a proposal to each of us. And then we can go over at our monthly meetings and that can give us a talking start for us to maybe bring it up in a business meeting or something.
Yeah, honestly, I've only got 3 or 4 things that I think even need to be adjusted in it, and I'd love to see if they got any of the same ideas and go from there.
As long as we run it through that.
Yeah.
Send it back, that's the way if you've got an email comment, do it the right way.
Yeah, one to one.
There, and then you can send it back to all of us, so we can look at it and see.
Right, and then still reply back to one.
Yeah.
Just reply back to him.
And if you need to call and talk in between,
Call us,
we need to have conversation.
call me anytime.
It might save that meeting. Might save that round table. Okay.
Would it also help to send out the nuisance ordinance again in a PDF, or like at least the sections that we've heard so far? So that, again, really when it gets down to, at least from my perspective, and Mr. Malachek can chime in if I'm steering incorrectly, it's around the verbiage, really around these ordinances and tweaking, as the mayor said, tweaking certain ordinances in specific situations, or in commercial versus residential, et cetera. Would it be helpful for us to send that out for, perhaps tomorrow, let you all, be able to review that? I know you all have, have copies of it, but be able to review it. And then we can also then do our due diligence, and then that can help to, that email conversation one-on-one and having those conversations. Is that helpful?
Are you looking at the whole thing that they've been working on, or?
Well, what I'm proposing as of right now is just making sure that all council receives the current nuisance ordinance as it is.
Yeah.
And then, as I've heard, that there may be sections here and there that individually you all would like to look at. And so that way, then you all would have the document to be able to react to in your own time. Then when you can then share that with myself individually. I can pile that together. The staff can work, as well as identifying their potential areas that they think may need to be looked at. And then that can help to spur conversation. Instead of going with general conversation about what may or may not be looked at, we can actually react to an ordinance that you may disagree with and what your proposal may be, or recommendation may be.
Okay, and I got one other thing I think needs to be thought about. So I don't know, it's all been told to me. I have nothing to back it up or nothing. Staff might know. But it's my understanding that they went to a site on a complaint about a specific item, but have left. And then when they get their letter, it's got multiple infractions or issues on the same property. That kind of gives me a little heartburn, because not only did what the complainant get wrote up for, but other things on that particular piece of land got wrote up. Maybe 1 or 2 items turned into 4 or 5. Is that how this council would like to see that go down? Is that something that needs to be addressed? If you go out there, take care of the specific complaint, or just look at it all?
But is it only a violation if someone complains? I mean, if it's,
Well, it's complaint driven.
if you're out there and you see it, if you see it in the normal course of doing business, then it's brought to your attention. You can't go out with blinders on and only look at one thing. I mean, if you almost trip over something, rusty metal or whatever, whatever the
If
violation
that's
may
the
be.
case, it needs to be wrote up as such in this ordinance, because my problem is they call and they say, hey, man, they walk in my door and they say, hey, I'm here. We need to look at this specific thing. They go out there and they look around, and then they come back and and don't really say anything. It's my understanding, but when they get their letter, I get the phone call. Hey, man, they was out here and I agreed with cleaning that up. But then when I get this letter, daggone, I got this, and this, and it pertains to my regular piece of business. And there is an appeals process, but it costs them how much money to appeal it? Per item, or per appeal
It's per
night, really?
well, it's per.
One
Go ahead.
one appeal request is $350.
Yeah.
And council set that in the fee schedule, so we
Yeah.
can change that
Okay.
in the budget.
That's to cover staff time.
It's it's the board. Yeah, it's public notice.
It's to cover expenses.
Mhm. Yeah, we don't make money off of it. It's the same fee that Fletcher uses. I think Hendersonville has theirs at 100. So I mean, yeah, we can knock it down.
And it's not always a comfortable situation when you go out to enforce something.
Of course,
Sometimes you don't have the ability to say,
Of
hey,
course not. Yeah.
you've got garbage spilling out on the ground, but golly, while we're out here, look at that septic tank. It's bubbling up.
Well, it's not stuff like that though is the problem. If it was just what you said, nobody would complain. And we've got Henderson County takes care of both of those, solid waste and.
Yeah,
But,
Just
you know,
trying to
when
think.
you go out there and you look at an abandoned trailer that's discombobulated, it ain't leveled, it's just sitting there, and then you end up getting fined for tires because you change tires on a daily basis. You get fined for a scrap metal pile because you take fenders off of trucks and doors off of trucks and steps off of trucks and fuel tanks off of trucks and structure. And then you got these piles and you get wrote up for those. And not only that, but potentially trucks that's sitting in the yard that's either waiting for repairs or they've had shoulder surgery and they've turned their tag in to save some time on their tag, but now you've really got a vehicle with no tag. Then they have to go out and make sure that vehicle at least move a little, and then it's good to go. They're okay with that, but you know, they start counting it, it puts it the business owner like, really, do I want to be in Mills River? You know, this is what I do for a living. This is what I've done since 1999 here. We've had trucks here. We've had storage here. We've got 7, 8, 9, 10 acres, whatever it is, under a power line.
I think that's our direction as an inspector responsible to write down everything that they find is a violation or only what they've been called out about.
Well, I think we need to define that in this, if that's what we're going to do, because I hear about it. Hey, they come in and said, I got a complaint. And then, but see, I don't know. I see him squirming back there and I don't know if they complain about all of it or not. I don't know. I'm hearing one side of the story sometimes I feel, and I'm afraid. I don't want to be that guy.
The issue is your ordinance doesn't give us clear direction.
And
that is the whole point of the UDO is all of the town ordinances are vague. And so we do the best with what we can, but we have to enforce the rules. I'm not going to turn the other way, sir.
Okay, but
So-
I'm right in saying
Yeah.
that the
Yeah, you don't have-
the UDO will not address any of that. though,
No,
will it?
not for
know?
nuisances, but for zoning violations, for
Yes.
sure. But
Yeah.
I mean, we have to make those same types of determinations with zoning decisions.
Sure you do.
You know, everyone hates the B&F ceramics warehouse. You know, I don't think it looks great. The lights aren't great, but there was no, the
There was
lighting
no
ordinance
ordinance
wasn't
when
in
it came
place
in.
and the architectural standards. Yeah. So we need clear direction from council so we can be on the path.
You don't
want
have
us on.
You don't have the discretion to pick and choose the violations that you address or ignore.
May I jump in here real
Sure.
quick? As Mr. Malachek mentioned, I want to expound upon that a little bit. So the one thing to be mindful of, generally speaking, is that as code enforcement officers, there's an ethical obligation to enforce what council has provided for them to enforce. And so so it can become a potentially ethical question about essentially putting blinders on, not seeing a violation because it wasn't, because it may not have been a complaint, yet a violation being a violation and council giving the direction that a violation is a violation, can create ethical questions that council would have to wrestle with. So not to say that we can't explore it, I would just caution about what those parameters are, just because it does create a larger ethical question for staff.
My only thought is if I had a issue, I had a nuisance and Mike came and he told me, hey, while I was here, I saw this and this, and I agreed as the owner to do it. I don't know that I would feel offended that he put it in the letter like, hey, I'm gonna hold you accountable to what you said. You said you were gonna clean that up, so I am gonna put this in here so that way it is. I don't think that's wrong.
I agree with that.
That's a little, and that would be a little bit, I don't know. I have a little bit of a hard time saying, oh yeah, just go and put blinders on, like, I don't know, that might be a slippery slope.
One, the situation that was discussed by Mayor Gantz is a little different because, I mean, maybe we should have the code in the car with us. We don't have the code with us. So we go back and check to make sure we are following the law council has set. And that was why
Gotcha.
a determination was made that was not made in person.
I got you. Yeah. And I honestly think it may be, once again, the Mills River thing, by sending the letter, not letting him know in person, which I don't know if it helped in this case, but that's what got this really stirred up. Hey, man, they left here saying, well, I'm gonna go talk to my supervisor and see what we think, and then get the letter. But it's all cleaned up. It's all water in the bridge, still wet off apparently. And I get it, but,
And we have changed our approach with that. I mean, we had, I'll just tell you, because nuisance complaints are still coming in. We had one this morning off South Mills. And even though it was posted no trespassing, we are allowed to go to the front door. Even I was a little hesitant, but Kevin said, no, we got to do the right thing and try to be neighborly. And he went up to the front door, no one answered, and so we left the door hanger. So I just want to let you know,
oh,
we are modifying to meet that expectation.
and I understand, and I've got you back on that, trespass sign or not, whatever. Y'all are doing a great job of that. Just make sure you communicate with these people the best you can. They're just trying to make a living. And, it's a little harder for the ones that's been here before the incorporation because they didn't want to be part of the town and they fought against it then. But what got them was the map. They just had to use the volunteer fire department map to create town in a hurry because the bill had to go at a specific time and they didn't realize they had to have the map and they only had 72 hours to create the map. So they'll actually trace that map. And that's why we're 22 square miles. You guys think about a town of 22 square miles. The city of Charlotte, I think is what, 9.3 or something like that with when it first started. It's crazy to think it were 22 square miles. But just, that's how that happened.
Does
Which
your,
is maybe my personal, this is how me, James, would like it, would be, obviously don't put on your blinders, but just follow up with them on the way out, be like, hey, you agreed to this, this, and this, that I also saw. It will be in a letter.
If you can, if somebody
If
says
it's
get off the
possible.
property and won't work with you. then you
Yeah,
can't work
I'm saying this,
Yeah.
this, I don't know if it's hypothetical or not, this, oh, well, something else came in a letter later, well, maybe remind them, hey, we did talk about this.
well, does your laptops work when you're out in the field?
No, ma'am.
Okay. The town's getting Starlink, correct?
That won't work for that.
Is
We're
that
only
like
here
a
to-
modem that they could
only
take?
here.
We've had conversations in the past about like having an iPad or, a tablet, like what
Tablet.
y'all have, that
Right.
have to have a cellular signal. Because the SmartGov system that we use for permits and code enforcement does have an app.
Right.
And that way we would basically have that in the vehicle with us, not only so we could do the work, but look at the codes
Well,
at the same time.
You have to take a copy of the code with you, whether you print it out and carry a catalog or an iPad or something. It's hard to go out and enforce stuff when you don't have the code with you.
And I deal with that on a daily basis, guys, in the building business, because trust me, I know you guys are right 90% of the time, and the home inspectors, the building inspector department's right 90% of the time. But old Shannon Gunch is right 10% of the time when they ain't. So and it's got so bad at times that the department head that I have to call and say, hey, he just come out here and gig me on this. Where are you at on this? And they're like, well, he's wrong. And you could potentially see yourself in that shape one day. Well, look, no hard feelings, but do I fix this or no? Well, no, you don't fix that. You're right to start with. I'll have a talk with him when he gets in here. And it's because we are under from start to finish, 27 inspections on a home. So I expect to have those conversations. I expect to have to fix a lot of stuff that the boys miss, but that's a safety issue and a professional issue. But when I know I'm right, then you know, and some of them I'll say, well, just show me the book and I'll do it. And when they don't have the book, that, like you said, I said, well, if you ain't got the book, then, you know, I've got 40 something years experience here. I have to go to continuing ed. You know, I know what all these new changes
Right.
are, and I think you've got a misorientation.
It clears up
And
situation.
it does. We fix it right then, you know, because all we've got is time, guys. We're selling our time. And when we go to these businesses, we're taking time from them that they could be moving on with a procedure inside to make some money. And then we're taking these guys' time. If we can just clear it up right then, everything moves a little more efficient. You know, and I don't know how thick that nuisance thing is, but if you know you're going to nuisance, maybe print that little section out and staple it together and take. It's so much easier to say, well, look right here, the council approved this, you know, and this is what we go by right here, just so you know.
Are we in agreement that they should have the app?
Have what?
They should have the capability of having the app?
I think they should have tablets.
Well, why don't we just go ahead and get him to put it in the budget or get him to get?
Yeah, I agree with that 100%.
Would that be helpful? Would that help y'all out?
Of course,
Sure.
because that means Kevin can do the work in the field and doesn't have to
Not
come
have to come
back,
back and make
write
what's
notes,
necessary. Yeah.
download photos.
Right.
Take pictures with it.
Yeah.
Tablet.
Well, but he can also sit down with the resident
Mhm.
and say, you know, this is what we have point blank and know he's correct and be able to show them and discuss and, you know, figure out, you know, well, this is good or this is not good, you know,
Yeah.
but you've got it there.
Most of them
Right.
do.
Work with you, you know, just not what you do to send a letter.
Well, they get a letter either way.
Well,
correct?
yeah.
Well,
But-
but tablets
they-
also offer the opportunity to sign.
What now?
Tablets offer the opportunity to
For
sign.
them to sign it to the,
So
you know,
he can put down, you know, this, and then they sign it.
that might be something we'd have to approve in a motion to, I would think, to add that to our nuisance ordinance if we wanted that in there. I don't,
Yeah, I think documenting is gonna be good.
yeah.
Right.
And,
Okay.
Yeah, like when I get a violation,
Well, I
I
mean,
don't have to sign.
Just so that they agree that, you know, this is what they discussed. So when they get a letter that's got 10 more things, they can say, well, that wasn't what I agreed to.
And this is just another one of them things, guys, where as the mayor making the kind of money we make, you know, I'm moving on because of it. You know, 57 phone calls in a week over just this kind of stuff. It's basically turned into a full-time job almost. I mean, at least a half-time job. You know, because some people respect me and say, well, I'll just call in tonight. Well, hell, far. A lot of times I don't get to eat for a while because I'm talking, don't want to be eating and trying to be professional and, you know, and all this. And then it gets cold and it's just taken away from my way of life. It's going to take somebody with a passion to do this job for that kind of money.
If I may,
Mhm.
so what I'm hearing, and we've made notes of it, for looking at tablets with cell phone services as a part of the budgeting process. We'll make sure we document that. I would ask for council's permission to allow staff to go back and see potential options for that. The only reason why I caution a little bit about the signage or making such a determination this evening is solely because sometimes even if somebody sees that part, if they don't agree to it or trying to get someone to sign onto a document that they disagree with, can become obviously an issue. So I do hear the concern and how we do document that. So I think what we can do is take that back and see if there are opportunities for us to further enhance our documentation at the time.
get a tablet, being able to take pictures, save them, upload to the town database and all that. It's good.
And there is another variance and issue in this thing that sometimes but we're fortunate that you guys work with these people and I would never foresee us getting into this, but if you look at the language in it, there's a possibility for that person to not get in compliance in time, start getting a daily fine before he can actually even get a lawyer on board to look at his case and do this. So future councils ahead may need to bump that when that initial fine starts to a reasonable day that you could get a lawyer to defend you, or maybe come to possible, Board of Adjustment meeting to defend it, because a lot of people, sometimes they're a little bashful to get up there and they don't, get aggravated, and excited, not present well.
So y'all cool with what we're talking? To, send us some comments, send us some your thoughts, and we'll look at it. And we'll work on this.
So, I want to make sure I, meet your expectations. So I'm going to say what I heard and you all tell me if I missed anything. So, we'll work together to pull together the nuisance ordinance and send all council a current version of that nuisance ordinance. At that time, in the email as well, I'll ask you all to take time and respond individually on any areas in particular, and language areas that you would like to look at. I'll collect that. I'll also work with staff to make sure that we identify any areas that we think may be of pressing need for consideration. And then once we culminate that and put it together, then we can go and send that back out to council, get your feedback on it, and then we can potentially go to a next step, which could be a roundtable or a meeting or what have you. Another regular meeting item, et cetera. Does that, and I would probably do that in fairly short order, again, depending on your schedules.
Yeah.
Is that a correct restatement?
Mhm. Well, we got one other thing to say about this and we'll move on. When it comes to the good old boy thing, I'm the mayor of this town. They're gonna reach out to me, guys. Whoever's in this seat, they're gonna reach out to you for what they feel like is, if they need help. I would hate to think that even the other ones, if they thought they was wrong, that they didn't reach out to me, honestly. I would hate to know that anybody was out there just paying these or cleaning this mess up or paying a fine that didn't feel like it was just. I would hope that they would reach out. Sure. And that's all I'm trying to do. Okay. All right, let's move on. Review of chapters 5, 7, module 1 of the UDO project.
I've got really nothing to add. I mean, council asked us to come back so we could finish the detailed review, and I think we went through 1, 3, and 4 and did not get to 5 and 7. So,
Okay.
Again, I'll leave this to council.
Just of how deep we want to go, or if we need to know any more
Yeah,
information
I mean, I
about it.
believe last time members had marked certain items they had questions about or wanted to provide feedback to staff. And so I've got the drafts up and basically am happy to take questions or comments or direction on any of the items.
Okay.
5 is the non-conformities chapter and 7 is the violations.
Yeah, I think 5's where we left off. To start back, we had 5, and then they added 7 to this meeting.
All right, so it looks like you've got a bunch of tabs, so.
I do, and some of it was just explain it to me.
Okay.
To make sure I'm good with it. And a general question that I had that popped up from several different things was, if a person owns a building, that's a business, and it's a woodworking shop, and they decide that they're not, and it's non-conforming, and they decide, okay, I'm gonna sell, I can't afford to live here no more. Something about this doesn't appeal to me, so I'm selling, and somebody has a cat sweater shop and wants to move in and set up, is there a problem with it still being non-conforming? Or even though there's not a lapse, they move out, move in and start producing.
So I'll start with the beginning part because once, to make it easier for us to manage the downzoning law once it goes into place, if and when this is adopted, everyone is conforming.
Right.
So you get to continue what you're doing there forever.
So
But
that's
there are,
the woodworking shop.
correct, but there are limits about expansion.
As far as making the building bigger.
Right.
Now, if that individual sells, that person who buys it can also continue doing woodworking, sawmill, whatever it is. But if they want to change the use to cat sweater manufacturing, whatever it is, that change of use would usually trigger a review. Because that's when we see, well, oh, they want to do a new business here. So is that allowed in that zoning district?
Okay,
We would
so
look at that.
then it would, the being grandfathered in would not carry over to the next landowner. They would have to come into compliance.
It carries over only if they want to do the same thing.
Okay,
If they want to change the business, change the structures, that's when they would need to reach out and there might be a permit.
okay.
Hmm.
Okay, so that was a question that I had, and let's see here. Anybody else got a question to start out with?
And if you have specific sections, feel free to call out the number so I can follow along with you.
Okay,
If I may, I apologize. If I'm just for one piece of clarification, I think it may be helpful as well. If it was if it became conforming as a woodworking shop, right?
that was.
When the UDO passes.
When the UDO passes, it's grandfathered in as a woodworking shop.
Right, it's in a
I-
residential district.
Yes, exactly. And it's in a residential district. And then they say, well, we want to buy the building, but we want to turn it into a cat sweater factory. Are there any recourses for that person to then try to get permission to open up a cat sweater factory on that property under the current UDO?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, we've talked about, it's not in the draft now, but coming up with this new rural mixed district to accommodate folks that have homes or dwellings and businesses on their property, because folks have invested in that and we don't want to get in the way of that. So I mean, it could be a rezoning to that district. It could be a zoning permit to allow a secondary use of the business with the home. There'd be a number of options.
Okay,
Because it's going to be a limited size business. It's not going to be a huge warehouse flats or anything.
That's gonna be an easier sell if we can get some of that language in there, Michael, cause when I was sitting here just about to say, oh my goodness, that's gonna stir up a mess of stuff right
Well,
there.
and that's part of the struggle we're going through with this consolidated timeline is
Yes,
that this technically, it is not for public consumption because it's not all Mills River, because the consultants just put in everything and we choose from the buffet of options. We'd say, oh, we don't want any of that, but this, we think that's going to be good for Mills River. So the idea is that, this doesn't go out to the public because we don't want to inflame people thinking that, oh my gosh, they're trying to do this to Mills River. So again, that's why we're having these conversations now. Unfortunately, we're doing the review with staff, council, and steering committee all at the same time.
right.
Yeah. Anyway, go ahead.
okay, alterations to existing development. In mine, it's page 187. And it's 5.2.3 under item A, number 1. And it says, except as authorized in accordance with section exemptions below, any alterations to existing or approved by incomplete development subject to the UDO shall be considered as new development subject to full compliance with all acceptable provisions of this ordinance. And okay, so we've got that right there. And then you go down to C under there. It says is subject to conditional rezoning approval established in accordance with section section conditional rezoning that includes conditions of approval intended to mitigate instances where the subject development does not meet all the applicable ordinances or standards of. And
So what is all that basically? Was that all you were saying?
yeah, well, no, we've got
Okay.
all this and then it comes over here to development. And it's 526 B. Maintenance and continuation of authorized nonconformities on authorized nonconformities that are under construction shall be permitted to be completed in accordance with their associated approvals despite. And then 523, back over here, the 5231A,
Uh-huh.
and it comes in here and that says something different.
So I think 523A, the alterations to existing development, that first part you read
Uh-huh.
is basically saying if you make like we said about the cat sweater factory. So if you alter what's there already, all it's saying is you have to come into compliance. And then that section below about the conditional zoning you read, it's saying that is an option to come into compliance, but it's just one of them.
Okay, well, this is what I looked at when I come up with the question
Mm-hmm.
about the cat sweater factory. And
Mm-hmm.
right,
One of them in those right now. You might go out of town to get it.
let's see, 524A,
Mm-hmm.
it says request for authorization. Prior to establishment of a nonconformity, a landowner shall file a request for authorization to establish a nonconformity in accordance with these standards. Okay, and the next section down. Well, I didn't, you want me to finish reading that one or leave
I
it?
see it. I'm following you.
Okay. The next section down, number 2.
Mm-hmm.
It says the decision to approve a request for authorization and statement of consent shall be at the sole discretion of the planning director, whose decision shall be based on the practicality of the proposed development reaching full compliance with the applicable requirements of this ordinance. The planning director's decision may be appealed in accordance.
Mm-hmm.
And
Is that putting too much pressure on this?
well, I know you're here now
Mhm.
and you take care of people,
Mm-hmm.
but if a day comes when you're not,
Mm-hmm.
you know, where it says, there's places in here where it says that it's to the sole discretion of the
Director.
director and it can't be challenged or you can't refile because that's right on down the road here.
And I mean, by all means, highlight those out. I mean, any decision of the director can be appealed, because it's an administrative decision. So it may not call it out, but like here at the end, planning director's decision may be appealed. Anyone has the right to appeal my decision, Kevin's decision, in the planning
Right.
department, any staff's decision.
As long as they've got that as a refuge to go to if they need to, I think we're okay.
And then beyond that, there's the courts.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm saying that it's a sole discretion, but it's the sole discretion based off of the rules we have given you. It's saying you can't be more lenient than what we've already given you.
Yeah, well,
Or
this
more
chapter's a
strict.
little,
Yeah,
this chapter,
or
sorry.
Or more strict either.
Yeah.
You have a guideline to go by, and that's where the the Board of Adjustments Act come in and
Oh,
look
yeah.
at that and say, hey, Michael, you give too much here, or most likely they're gonna say you're too strict on me. Then they're gonna go and say, hey, he wouldn't let me do this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but they've got an option to.
For the
go-
variance as
yeah,
well.
For a variance, yeah.
This part's a little tricky because again, the state made it even more difficult because of the downzoning. But basically what this section is saying is that, again, the UDO gets adopted, everyone's conforming. Doesn't
Right.
matter what you're doing, where you are, what's going on in your property, you're conforming with our zoning. This says that if you want to make a change, let me read this again. If you're making an alteration or change, but you can't meet the rules, you get that one change, but you have to become non-conforming. which that then ties you down.
I got
It
you.
freezes you kind of in time.
Then-
So anyone that wants to make that one change gets that one shot. And then, just like Shade Tree Garage, I think I gave that example. It's not allowed in that zoning district, but they're allowed to continue operating there, but can't expand, can't change anything. So this is basically saying that that property owner because of the downzoning law for the state, has to give their consent to become non-conforming, so we don't run afoul of the state law.
I got you.
And it just says the decision to approve that or not, because again, we're approving development that technically is outside the bounds of the UDO and what it regulates, falls to the director. And then that could be appealed.
Can approve it or deny it based on the rules.
Based on something, and maybe what we do is just add some language here. It says the decision shall be based on the practicality of the development, reaching full compliance with the requirements. Well, most likely they're not going to be in compliance, but maybe we just wordsmith that to make it, planning director decision should be based on the reasonableness of the request.
Okay. 5.3.3.
Uh-huh.
Will you read that to us and explain it to me? Cause I didn't quite understand that one.
Yeah, so this is on 5.3. This is the section on non-conforming lots of record, so parcels. And so it's saying creation prohibited, so creation of lots, except in accordance with a section about governmental acquisition of land. In no instance shall a subdivision or other development approval sought under this ordinance result in the establishment of a non-conforming lot. That's a complicated way of saying unless it's a governmental purchase of land, no one can subdivide and create a lot that doesn't meet the town's requirements.
It's the same thing right now.
Yeah, oh yeah,
Mhm.
same thing.
Now, if it exists and it doesn't meet the requirements and you can build on it, go forth and build. We'll give you the
Yeah, but I'm
permit.
saying, if I have a 1 acre lot
Mhm.
now, I can't come and.
Say I want a 0.1 acre lot.
Correct.
Right.
Yes.
Correct.
And
That's the.
part,
The government use, if the DOT needs a half acre for a salt shed up at 280, so they don't have to haul salt to treat the roads. They can buy that land and create that because it's a government use and that's considered in the benefit of the population.
Correct.
okay. And the second part of that B,
Yeah, development approvals granted after whenever the ordinance is adopted that could result in a new non-conforming lot of record shall be null and void.
For that matter, if they condemn a piece of property to build a road, the road's built, right of ways 100 feet wide, you have a third of an acre land. That's a non-conforming lot. Can't be built on. Anyway, sorry.
No, you're good. So again, another complicated way of saying, we can't approve a development approval that would also make a lot that doesn't comply. So A basically talks about no one can subdivide their land and make a lot that is too small or doesn't meet the requirements. And part B is basically saying staff, if they issue an approval that runs afoul of that, like if we accidentally approve a lot that's too small, that's null and void. It's not applicable. So
Okay.
if we accidentally approve a lot that doesn't meet the requirements,
it just
doesn't
goes
exist.
away.
Yeah, mhm,
Okay.
that's it.
And then, 5.3.6, governmental acquisition.
Sure, it says lawfully established conforming lots subject to governmental acquisition of a portion of the lot for a public purpose, and the acquisition renders the lot non-conforming with respect to the applicable dimensional requirements shall nonetheless be deemed conforming. So, oh, go ahead. So, well, DOT road widening on Haywood Road, they probably took some right of way from the properties here. If that DOT taking of your property makes your lot too small to not meet the town's requirements, doesn't matter. It's conforming. We're not going to penalize you because a government took some of your property and made the lot not meeting the town's code.
That's what I was wanting, was clarity on that.
Sure.
And then I had a question down here on the 5.3.7
Uh-huh.
special purpose lots. And it says in cases where a use or feature of lawfully established special purpose lot ceases or is abandoned, the special purpose lot shall be considered a non-conforming special purpose lot. Development of a non-conforming special purpose lot shall comply with all the applicable dimensional requirements of the zoning district where it is located, or shall be subject to an approved administrative adjustment. Who's gonna approve that?
So administrative adjustments, and this will be in, I believe, chapter 2 in the next set of chapters coming forward. That's the procedures chapter. Basically, it's a small adjustment, usually like 5%, maybe maximum of the total requirement that staff can make. So it's like a relief valve to prevent too many people from getting variances. Because we assume, if there's going to be more standards, setbacks and stuff like that, we've got these new rules about steep slope development. There may be more folks looking for relief via a variance, but if someone just needs a couple feet, they could do that through the director. That's all it's saying.
Without having to go to the Board of Adjustments.
Correct. Now, this one, the special purpose lot, again, a little more complicated than it needs to be, but basically says, if I create a lot that doesn't meet our requirements for a Duke Energy substation,
Right.
and then Duke pulls all their equipment out and says, we're not using this anymore, that lot now has to meet the requirements. And if it needs an administrative adjustment or a variance, they need to do that.
Well, this just seems awfully complicated. And I think we need to keep it simple if we can. I know we talked a while ago about not so much control, not a homeowners association, not leaving things open to opinion and control of the people.
And the hard balancing part of that is not leaving it open to opinion means more words on the page. Because in order to prevent me or the future person coming after me
Right.
from just using their own judgment, you got to have more words on the page. And that's the trouble we're running into with our code now.
Well,
but by all means, if this is too complicated, we can cut some of it.
I don't know that it's too complicated. I think at some point when more of these public hearings go forth, we'll just need to be definitely prepared like you are tonight to be able to explain all these things as they come up, because just like her reading through it and having questions, I think the general public in general are going to have several when the time comes to really pull the trigger on this thing.
And what we're missing now, unfortunately, with not having the complete document is like all those sections that are highlighted or gray, there's going to be links. So like special purpose lots, there should be a link that'll take you to the definition that then will take you to the procedures. And so you can bounce back and forth like that. But I do understand your point. Yeah.
okay. Well, 5.5.5, item B.
Yep. Do you want me to read that?
Uh-huh.
It's under reconstruction following damage or destruction. And it says the planning director may, in the director's sole discretion on a case-by-case basis, utilize the cost of replacement in lieu of assessed value in determining the ability of a damaged or destroyed non-conforming structure to be rebuilt.
So now when this goes through, it's conforming.
Yes.
Correct.
It's destroyed. This isn't a problem because it's conforming.
Yeah, they can rebuild as is.
But if something happens
if
and
they
they
go to
say,
that
you know what, we
sweater
want to do this, let's make it non-conforming.
Yeah, they make that one change.
Yep.
Then it's the 51% rule.
Yeah.
And that actually, the note I have for the 51% in my comments is that is a council policy decision. If council wants to loosen up the standard about how much damage, allows you to reconstruct or not, that's something for discussion.
As long as it's conforming, there's no number involved.
Right.
Correct.
Just build it back.
Yes.
But if you create a non-conforming, which has to be purposefully done, you don't accidentally find yourself non-conforming. You come to the town, you say, I really want to do this, okay, we'll let you do this, but now you're gonna be non-conforming. Then you have to understand at some point in time, if
If it
it's
catches
destroyed,
on fire, you don't have an
Right.
issue.
if the cost is more than 51% to build it back,
You're not putting it back there.
that's right.
And part B specifically is just saying the director can choose cost of replacement. So basically, what Mr. Builder Gaunt puts together versus the current assessed value. You just
Right.
choose which one.
Okay. And then the next one was good. It was the next one up there, and I don't know if that's a C or an S or a what, 5.6. And I just didn't understand that.
On the next page below it,
Yeah,
5.6 non-conforming uses.
yeah,
So just that top part there.
uh-huh.
The lawful non-conforming use of a structure, land, or water existing on the effective date of the ordinance may only be continued in accordance with the standards of this section. And then there's a bunch of standards in this section. So this is very similar to what we have in our non-conformity section now. So I'll use the shade tree garage again. Well, technically they'll become conforming, but let's say he wants to put a building addition on for a waiting room for his clients. They become non-conforming, and then it just says, well, once you're non-conforming, you can't expand. That's 5.6.5 expansion.
Okay.
5.6.6, you can't convert it into something else. So it's that part that once you're non-conforming, you're kind of locked in place with what you got. That's
Okay.
what this section talks about.
All you got?
Anybody else? Y'all didn't have any issues with that? Okay.
No, I mean,
I'll
You
give
did it
y'all the
tough.
next one.
Sounds like a good thing for next meeting.
Well, if we do this one now, it's only 10 till 10. We can finish this one up. It's a short one.
how many you got in there? How many questions you got in that one?
I didn't have, but maybe a couple. But y'all go ahead.
No, I mean, I've read it. I mean, I halfway understand it.
But
I mean, I ain't gonna lie. I halfway
nothing jumped out.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, they'll be, so, yeah. If you wanna get a mask, just go ahead and ask them.
I got it right
We
here.
have 7 behind us.
I did not read it that close. The fines are the same as what they are now. Like we didn't go up for inflation.
No, $50 per violation, which is the standard in the state.
So-
Yeah.
Does it say how long it takes for them to start? Or how fast they accrue?
Should. I think I remember reading.
I'll have to find it. It does say there's a maximum fine of every offense not to exceed 500. I know that was a point with the nuisance ordinance. Scroll back.
Is that a 500 total?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Per offense.
Uh-huh.
You could have multiple offenses. Not $500 for the person,
No, it's
Or the
500 per
property.
offense.
but that hasn't changed.
But
Right.
sometimes that'd be cheaper than cleaning the mess up.
Right.
Being honest.
Not if it's accruing. Well, no, if it's
No,
a
it's
total at the
max.
cap,
It's
it's it.
But
Yep, most people don't read that deep into it.
Is there a limit how many times somebody can complain on the same one and you get fined?
Well, this chapter, you have to think of it like a zoning violation.
Yeah.
So right now, it's not complaint driven, you know, and
That
again,
is
staff doesn't,
legit. Yeah, that,
yeah.
all that in there is by the book.
yeah, and again, staff's not out looking for these, but you know, if yeah, I
They
mean,
have
if someone, well, yeah, if someone starts building a commercial structure without permits, you know, that's something we're gonna have to enforce.
Or
Um,
even an illegal add-on to something that had come in compliance, but they was illegally making it go out of compliance with some of these buildings.
Correct.
That would be a good, what would happen to them,
Okay.
and all that stuff, yeah. That is really not any nuisance thoughts put into that, because it's not in there. This is more based on where they need to go get a variance or board of adjustment to look at a zoning violation or an ordinance violation.
And I'm sorry, so I'm still working through this too. There is a section on complaints, and it does say we respond to complaints, but it also says that doesn't limit the planning staff from enforcing the ordinance otherwise. So both situations
That's the
apply.
language was looking for.
Which is current as well. There can be zoning complaints brought in
Mhm.
as well as
Yes,
staff can take action, and that's under current expectations.
correct. I'm still looking for the time period. The one thing I'll say is this is all straight out of the state statute. So like zoning violations, that all follows all that procedures in chapter 160D. So it's going to be very standard time periods that basically every local government uses, including Henderson County.
So it's North Carolina State.
Yes, yes.
Anything else, sir?
I think I'm good.
Everybody else good with it? All right, anybody got any potential, future agenda items that we didn't discuss earlier in other business?
I know y'all have been looking for attorneys.
We're still in the process.
Okay.
We've interviewed one. We've got another one Monday afternoon. And we got one more on that we're trying to get lined up, to at least look at 3. So we'll keep you posted.
Are y'all planning on getting 3 and lining them up, and are we gonna interview them, or?
We are interviewing them, me, Jeff, and Matt, as we go. I think if it got down to a close 2 with what we need and the desires that we're looking for, I think we could probably maybe either let y'all do a phone interview with them, possibly to ask a few questions, pass some questions on to Matt to ask, or if you think there's anything that you're looking for in particular with these people that we might not be aware of, that the questions we'd ask, please email them to Matt so he can bring them to these meetings when we're having them. We're talking about lawyers, so their time is very valuable. And we're just trying, and there's not a lot to choose from. So we're scrambling to even get the ones we're getting in here. But I would promise you that I would hope I wouldn't make us a bad decision. And I don't think Jeff would. And Matt, it's kind of our decision to make, the 5 of us. And if you got any doubt about it, we'll arrange it to where you can talk to them.
Or they're presenting resumes, right? As
I
we
don't know
interview
if
them, or
we've
they
got
give
that
us some
way.
kind of a resume, or,
I don't think we've got to that stage yet.
but if we
We could if we
we
needed
could
it.
ask if we want to move forward. We have 2 or 3 people that we say, hey, we'd love to have your resume, and then share that with you all, have a look at it, and got questions, we could bring them in and talk to them.
This is a council-driven
It is.
interview process. And so, yes, I would lean on your discretion on what you all would like to see. I think asking for resumes or CVs or would be helpful, and I think that they would be open to sharing that. As of right now, just to, and I don't want to speak for you all, please correct me. Right now, the vetting process is very generally high level in the sense of, or is there interest? What are they how do they look at cases, et cetera? What are their comfort level with certain types of situations, et cetera? So it's very generalized, and again, Mayor, you can go into more details on what you would like to go at the next step. But I think the next step would include, taking those that are potentially viable candidates and then sharing that information.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Definitely sharing all their information. And I wouldn't have a problem with y'all, you may have to go to them or something, or maybe a phone interview with them or something to feel comfortable on one-on-one with them or something. It's just without having a publicized meeting for more than two of us there at a time with these people. It just creates havoc trying to get them lined up and all the council to be there when they can be there.
Right.
for-
Well, maybe, I guess what we should do is decide what we would like, what qualities or features we would like to see in an attorney. And you want us to get them to Matt or to you
I'll
or,
give it, I mean, if you've got anything that you're looking for, any questions you're looking for, get them to Matt.
okay,
I think between the two of us, with my years of experience here, his years of experience, just general with a lot of lawyers and engineers and everybody professional, and I think we're asking a lot of what you would want to hear.
mhm,
I think you'd be very proud of us. But if you've got any doubt in what we're asking, get any of that information to him, any qualities you're looking for to him. Just know that the playing field and this, with that type of experience to bring forth to us and get a good result for us is limited, very, very limited. So what they might have something, a lot of experience in zoning and land and that kind of stuff they might not have with governmental stuff or, yeah, so we're having to, we're just, and we've only met with one, so don't get discouraged. And after three, we might say, we still got to hunt.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly,
Yeah.
so you don't think we'll sell us out to the goats, and we want you to feel comfortable with our decision. And if you think, well, before we pull that trigger, let's get that person in here. We'll bring them in early. We'll have, I guess that would need to be in a closed session because we're hiring an employee. I don't know. That's a question for you and Patty to figure out.
There's
But-
a certain amount of, yeah, I think
Because
closed session would be reasonable, a certain amount of candor back.
Yeah,
That's.
Yeah, I think so. The questions we'd be asking. So then we could possibly, before we hired that one individual, that'd be the first thing we do, to have a closed session. All of us ask some questions, make sure everybody's comfortable and then move forward. If not, then we just don't bring it up in the regular agenda that night to hire that person. Okay, I want you to feel comfortable, so,
well, right now, I've not heard anything.
well, I'll call you tomorrow. I'll call you tomorrow. Let's see, other future agenda items that I'd like for us to discuss at some point in time in the near future, to get lined up with the budget is the fire inspection fee. And if the county's gonna bring that forward and have us pay that again, I think we need to be prepared to either pay it or to see if we can hire somebody our own to save us some money or whatever. We just need to get that conversation in play. It's my understanding that they haven't come forth and said that it's a definite thing they're going to do again next year, right?
So the contract with the county stipulates that it can be terminated at any time with a 1-year notice. So as of right now, if a cancellation happened, it would be a cancellation that would, again, hypothetically speaking, you
Right.
would have to give them a full year's notice before that cancellation. So I wouldn't say necessarily anything would, potentially change immediately, but the conversation, I absolutely hear you and understand. It's my understanding, I've not heard anything yet about any changes going in this year on both the cost to the town or the timeline. I think last year, the total cost was $32,000.
Right. And it might be something we can't even do for that. But, I play a little more politics than the rest of you guys do. So this being an election year, be a year that I would try to get that taken away with our interlocal agreement with a lot of our other things. But in saying that, I just think we need to consider the possibility of getting back on that, Harris County Economic Development, and award some of that a little bit more just to keep our, Henderson County friends, maybe seeing eye to eye with on some of these other $32,000 bills, if you see what I'm saying. I think some of these from a political standpoint, they come around and they capture it anyway.
Did they inspect last year?
Oh, well, it depends. Some businesses are annually, some are biannually. So when Henderson County does them, sometimes they actually do some of the biannually, they do them annually. It just depends on how they're doing. So it's not necessarily you're gonna see them every year, depending on what your business qualifications are.
And for clarification, that's not something our fire department.
Not at this point in
That
time.
they used to.
Yeah, well, I don't know that I
Because we're
can say
paying.
that 100%,
Right.
but yeah.
No, they used to.
We're paying, you pay our own fire department, they can't.
They just feel like they don't have staff and time to do it correct. Yeah, yeah, they can do it. They have to hire the certified guy that's approved to do such.
I think it was Clyde Bryson used to do that.
Maybe so. Okay,
If I'm hearing correctly, I will, potential business item where we can go through, both I can bring forward the current contract as well as, what has happened over the last year. I believe there are about 320 businesses, which equates out to $32,000 based off of the fee. But again, I can bring all of that and confirm all of that.
could you do me one other favor and reach out to the chief and ask him what he feels like it would cost to have that person on board? I mean, if we're gonna pay, if we're almost forced to pay the county 32,000, if we give them the same amount of money, but they pay the difference and gained a whole nother employee, it might be something that they might think about doing. They just have to get that call. Yeah, they say, yeah, exactly. Cause I'm telling you, when we hired the guy, I mean, this town's grew a lot, but that guy knocked them out in like a month. And he checked them all just to get everybody up to speed.
Everybody.
You know, I wouldn't expect if they was working a regular job, but he could get, if he could get 5 or 6 a week, whenever, he'd eventually get them. Just something to think about, being good neighbors.
And we could work on providing a presentation that can include that if council wishes.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Fair enough. That's all I got. Ready to get out of here. Anybody make a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you. All right, yeah, Brian, Jeff, and all in favor? Aye.
Aye.